don't invite your friends or family to hike with you when you've already been out for months. When you've been through hiking and you've got those strong hiker legs, you truly really want to move at a pace that is just a bit faster and a bit more than your friends or family can handle. It can be a bit frustrating. Maybe you wanted to keep the momentum up, or maybe you're watching your family hike away from you. So it can put undue stress on you. It can put undue stress on your family or friends.
Welcome to Backpacker Radio, presented by The Trek, brought to you by LMNT. I am your co-host, Zach Badger Davis, sitting to my right.
Hi, I'm Juliana Chaunce, a.k.a. Chaunce.
Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Yay.
We did it.
Another year down, another Cinco in the book, so.
We made it past all of the cringy May the 4th be with you jokes.
Yeah, but now we're on Revenge of the 5th, so we're not quite past it.
Okay. Are there more date-oriented Star Wars puns?
No, I mean, it's going to be May. In real time, we're entering, it's going to be May season.
Yeah.
Justin Timberlake. And then, have we passed the perfect weather day yet from, it's when they ask the perfect date, and then she says, like, April something, because you could just wear a light jacket. What's that from? Miss Congeniality?
Oh, yeah, another. I've seen Star Wars as many times as I've seen.
We're not near the Mean Girls. I asked him what day it is. That's October 3rd. So I think we're in some clear cruising for a while.
Cool. Good. Great. Awesome. Wonderful. Grand. We got a few reminders before we get to today's awesome panel. First is, this one's right around the corner, Trail Days.
Yes.
Are you excited? Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm excited. I still can't tell if you're serious when you say Harper can come. So that one I'm like wondering.
Can she fly?
Yes.
Presents Airbnb issues. We can look into it.
Does not. We'll talk off camera. Anyway, so yes, very excited. I am starting to get my brain more in touch with the brainstorm chaos side of things, which always happens better when at last minute. So I haven't put all too much thought into it up until recently, but the wheels are spinning on our activities.
We do have one locked in.
Yes.
We can announce it because it's going to be in the official Trail Days brochure.
Is it really?
Yeah.
You're so funny.
Yeah, because we are a whatever their entry-level sponsor thing is, so I think we get additional perks this year. But we are doing an air guitar competition on Friday afternoon. This is at 11:30. There's going to be limited spots for this, so we're giving priority to 2025 AT thru-hikers. So if that is you and you want to be a part of this, not only is it going to be hilarious, but we're going to have incredible prizes. We're going to have incredible prizes for all of the events that we're doing, but yeah, this is one of them.
I have some logistical questions. Are we going to be doing the air guitar competition in front of our booth, or will it be at the gazebo where the real guitars usually play?
No, this is, at the booth.
At the booth?
Yeah.
Okay. Second question, what if someone wants to enter an air band? Like, what if they just can't play their air guitar without their air drummer?
I would say you can, but the prizes are not divisible, so you're going to have to decide who gets the cool stuff.
Fair. And then lastly, do they get to choose the song they guitar to, or do we choose the song they guitar to?
I think we're going to go standard air guitar competition rules, which I've memorized, and they get to pick the song. And I think it's either 60 or 90 seconds. They get to pick like the song and the section of the song. And yeah, they're evaluated based on creative expression, accuracy, got to know your tune, and just overall vibe setter.
I think this is one that's it's better to not keep it a surprise, because I think these people need time to practice.
Totally, yeah.
And if they listen to Backpacker Radio on time, they will have at least 10 days on trail while hiking, where in their free time they can choose a song, play it and repeat on their headphones, and choreograph something exciting.
Get in your air studio, practice your air songs.
Should we release a sign-up sheet early?
No, we'll do it there. Because I fear that someone signs up and then doesn't show.
Yeah, I mean, that would happen. We'd just, have a confirmation sheet when we get there. How you check into a plane.
Yeah. We can put a form on the website. That won't matter. So look for that. But yeah, we'll have a lot of fun ideas. Did you want to pitch more of your ideas?
Yes. Working ideas right now are a butter sculpture contest. Imagine a sand castle contest where people go around and vote on the one they like the most. This would be like that.
How big is the sculpture? How many sticks? You have to standardize the stick amount, right?
Yeah, I was thinking that we give everyone 1 to 2 sticks of butter. And
Okay.
there's no cap on how much butter you could bring. This is a BYOB event.
Oh, so they're bringing their own butter.
You could bring extra butter.
So we're providing 2. They can
Yes.
BYOB on top of that.
Yes.
Okay.
And we're not playing fair here. I just want to see good butter sculptures.
I mean, sounds like a equal playing field. I guess you're
Yeah.
giving incentive to people who are spending money to enter the competition.
Sure, but that's like for my joy.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's an option.
Yep.
The dunk tank.
Maybe maybe we can find like a butter grant or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, a butter sponsor.
Yeah.
Every year I come back to this, I think we should have a dunk tank. I know there are challenges with the logistics of this one.
Yep.
But I think that if there were no logistical challenges, a dunk tank is something we need.
If you are listening to this and you are in possession of a dunk tank and
Yep.
you live within driving distance of Southern Virginia, hit us
Yep.
up.
Yep. Please. And then another one is the gallon challenge. I think this would be safest in teams of 2, since every time I've seen it in team of 1, it ends with puke.
Ice cream or milk?
Milk.
Okay.
Drink a gallon of milk. Be the first
We
to
should
do
definitely
it.
have waivers.
Yeah.
Okay.
It says, I consent to this milk.
Whatever happens to my insides and outsides is my own doing.
Right.
The truck is legally
Not obligated. I will not puke in front of the booth.
Yeah.
Because we don't
Yeah,
want to
that's
smell
an
it.
important one.
So yeah, I think teams at 2 for that one. And, the list is growing, changing, evolving. These aren't definitely going to happen, but this is just where my weird brain has started to drift.
I imagine watermelons are a must.
Yeah, watermelon thigh smashing.
Okay.
It just has to happen.
Yeah.
But we did learn that we have to get the watermelons fresh. We can't get them a couple days in advance and
Yeah.
leave them out in the rain.
Right. Also, I think the melons that we got were too big.
Yeah, no oblong melons.
Yeah.
We want perfectly round,
Egg-shaped melons.
not too big.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, so as you can see, the creative energy is absolutely teeming.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we're going to be at PCT Trail Days. That's a long ways off. But if you know someone who's going to PCT Trail Days that you think ought to be on the podcast, hit us up, podcast@thetrek.co. Next is, if you enjoy this podcast and you want the episodes ad-free, go to patreon.com/backpackerradio.
Mm-hmm.
For as little as $5 per month, you can get all of our episodes ad-free. And Chaunce ran some numbers.
Yeah, I did the math because I am in that nice spring phase of life, which comes back every year, where you want to quit your job and go hiking. If my job is listening, I don't actually seriously consider quitting right now. I'm very much like this job, but it just happens every year and I need to get through it. And I'm in it right now, so I don't want to work.
When they fire someone, do they say you're toast?
I hope so. Oh, that'd be funny. But yeah, so if you are my job, please don't listen to this seriously. If you're not my job, all we need is 500 Chuck Norris level Patreons. And
Chuck Norris. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Chuck Norris. That's what you were like, that's easy. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, I was thinking the $5 level.
No, I need an actual income.
Sure, yeah.
And there's an asterisk there. I need you to give me health insurance.
Okay.
So that you're on the hook for that.
We can figure something out.
Yeah, so Zach will give me health insurance. We just need 500 brave souls to let me quit my job. And then we'll do Backpacker Radio forever.
I can just turn that office into an apothecary and I could just settle all of your medical woes that way.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I'll submit my stool samples to you.
Yep.
And then you'll go through my poop.
Yeah. Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
Also, I believe that's out of context. I don't think you've given the primer on that. We can get to that later.
Yeah, or we don't need to. We could leave it at that.
Leave it at that. Patreon.com/backpackerradio. And lastly but not leastly, if you're taking on a long distance trek this year and you want to be part of an awesome backcountry squad, hit us up. Apply to be a blogger. The link to do so is in the show notes. We'll get deeper into those woods here in a second. But yeah, let's get right to today's panel. This is the 3rd edition of Beginner Backpacking Mistakes. People love this one. So we got to give the people what they want. And here's Rachel's amazing intro. Zach and Chaunce have officially missed Rachel's 3-year anniversary working for Backpacker Radio, and she's using this intro as a platform to pout about it. She respectfully requests that they both do a shot in penance.
Oh, see, I should have read ahead.
We can drink from the communal margarita.
Okay. It sounds really disgusting when you call it that.
Yeah. I'll let you go first to
Thanks.
avoid my cooties, which means lots of kids' cooties. Rachel, I'm sorry about that. I will also say that people have to forgive me for being the least sentimental person of all time. If it wasn't for my own anniversary being in our Google Calendar, I would never remember that date either. I've never once posted about my AT or PCT like anniversary because I'd never remember it when it comes around. I'm just the least sentimental person you will ever meet.
Yeah, I think
live
that's
in the moment.
not a great excuse.
Yeah.
Because
But we love you, Rachel.
all we have to do is put it on the calendar, and then we'll never forget it. For example, we know
but she runs our calendar.
we know when Mara's birthday is every year because it still comes up. Also, happy future child, Mara. Did
Oh,
you
she
see
preggo?
that? Yeah, she
Oh,
posted
let's
an
go.
announcement. I don't know if
Nice.
she wanted us to spell it with the world, but I did. We could just find out when Rachel's anniversary is. I don't know it.
Rachel will have to put it on the calendar.
Yeah.
So Rachel, you're
if
on the
you
hook.
could put that on the calendar for
Yeah.
us and set it to an annual reoccurring reminder.
Yeah, if we forget your next anniversary, you're
Yeah.
fired because it's your fault.
Include what year you started, because I honestly thought it was like at least double that amount.
Yeah. The intro continues. Jess, however, is new to the Trek and BPR team, and Rachel is too afraid to make any jokes at her expense. Rachel is confident that Jess would never forget Rachel's 3-year BPR anniversary, and also that she excels in everything she does. Jess Stone, thank you so much for finally being on the podcast. I've mentioned your name no fewer than 3 dozen times. What's your story? What do you do? Who are you?
Hey, it's me. Hello. Happy to be here. Hate to disappoint the people. My name is Jess. Trail name is Sassafras. I'm the marketing community manager here at the Trek. And last year I thru-hiked the Appalachian Trail and the Long Trail. And now I am here professionally bothering people that engage with the Trek's site, all of our bloggers and folks who are on social media, making content, et cetera, et cetera.
Love it. I gave you false advertising on when the start date was when I think you were first interviewing, and I ended up pushing it back a month, and you're like, oh, sweet, I'll go hike the Long Trail.
Exactly. I already had the hiker legs. Got to go.
Yeah. We'll hear a lot more from it. We're going to do a dedicated interview episode with you at some point, so we'll get deeper into Jess's story. But for the subject of today's episode, like I said, this is the 3rd edition of Beginner Backpacking Mistakes. I don't think it needs much intro, other than we're going to do our best to not recover any tracks in the previous 2 episodes. I did my due diligence in going back and looking at my previous mistakes, and I've got some fresh ones here, and I think they're good ones.
Yeah, mine gets slowly more unhinged just because we have covered a number, but there's countless ways that you could err, and so why not cover some of the less common ones?
Yeah.
Which is where I will come from.
Yeah. I'll kick us off. I think I usually go last. I'll go first. My first tip is, and I'm sure we've mentioned this in other podcasts not on the subject, but this is too obvious of one to... I actually was shocked to see that it hadn't made either of the previous episodes, because I think this is one of the mistakes I see most frequently. And like going past the things like don't bring canned goods. If you're listening to this podcast, I'm assuming you're past that level of mistake. Maybe not. If you are, then we're not doing our job as podcasters. But yeah, actually... No, my third point is kind of on that subject exactly, so never mind. But yeah, the mistake that I see most often from new backpackers, especially new thru-hikers, is overplanning in general. And this is specifically true for sending mail drops and when you're trying to plot out your daily mileage. This is a practice that... Ian had to talk me out of. Like, I wanted to do not only my daily mileage for like the first week on trail, but like I wanted to plot out what my entire hike would look like. I think like many people, my nervous tick is I tried to plan things, and because I was so nervous for the AT, I wanted to prepare for everything that could happen, and plotting out the distance was a big part of that. That is the biggest wasted practice of all time. There's so many elements. I'll start with the plotting your distance part of that, because there's 2 factions to this point. You just can't plan for the things that happen in the span of a thru hike. Injuries, weather, even just like little things like hot spots, fun side trails, visitors. There's literally a million things that could happen that will change your pace that you can't predict. So the practice of going through and trying to plot out your mileage is entirely a wasted effort. Now, if you're doing something like an FKT, and I'm assuming that is irrelevant on the subject of beginner backpacking mistakes, and maybe there's more merit to something like that. Or if like you're on a strict time crunch, having some general pacing ideas could have some value there. I did this on the PCT when Job and I hiked it in 100 days. We had vague ideas of where we wanted to be by certain dates, but in terms of doing it on like a daily basis, it is just entirely a wasted practice. But the thing that I see even more often that is perhaps less obvious is overplanning maildrops. And there are certain hikes where you do have to plan maildrops, like the JMT comes to mind. You could do something like go into Mammoth Lakes and resupply there, but sending yourself food on the JMT is basically required. But for the popular trails like AT, PCT, Colorado Trail, Long Trail, many, many others, the practice of sending yourself maildrops is a waste. Unless you're following a very strict diet, like you are gluten-free, dairy-free, whatever it might be, or you're very good at preparing freeze-dried, dehydrated meals, and you're a culinary genius and you want to dehydrate all your food and then send it to yourself, that's a different story. But for the vast, vast majority of people that are just eating ramen and peanut butter and tortillas and trail mix and beef jerky and all that stuff, the process of going and stocking up at Costco, sending it in boxes to the towns that you're going to be in, where there are grocery stores, and likely in the South, the groceries are probably even cheaper than where you're buying it from, and locking yourself into food that you will probably be sick of within the first week is just a complete waste of time, money, and I think there are much better uses of your time before you leave for the trail. So, in summary, I think the biggest mistake that I see for beginner backpackers is just overplanning in general. That was my case.
Hear, hear.
Yeah.
You didn't hear my fist bump on the table, listener, so I apologize. Cool. Do you want to spin the wheel?
I didn't do anything wrong.
I just didn't know if you wanted to. Okay, it's fine.
It has to be contingent on something, right? Or are we just in a wheel spinning?
It's Cinco de Mayo.
I don't know if it's spin the fucking wheel. What? I have to see what we've got here.
Well, you got to tell the people there was a wheel update.
Yeah,
we ran out of Oreos.
We ran out of Oreos. That'll come back later in the episode. But yeah, I'll spin the wheel. Why not? Jess, your handwriting is way worse than I would have expected.
Okay, rude.
I can read the word shot perfectly.
Yeah, I wrote that one. Well, fuck.
Yeah.
I'm going to drink out of the community mug because, one, I don't want to mix whiskey with tequila, and two, I'm also lazy.
Okay, so we'll just replace shot with community mug for this episode?
Yeah.
Okay.
Chaunce, would you like to spin the wheel?
Sure. It's Friday for me. What'd I get?
Wow.
There's the community bug.
Same exact one. Jess?
Let's do it.
Take one down. Oh, that was very close to 3 in a row.
What is it?
You're going to have to read that to me.
Oh, wow. It's not that bad. It's confess a backpack sin.
Ooh, okay.
Ooh, yeah, give
I
us
like
your
this.
sins.
Glad I thought of this one ahead of time. Had to come out eventually. I did Yellow Blaze 5 miles on the AT in Vermont.
What?
And did not disclose that to anybody until now.
Ooh.
Now you're not a through-hiker. How's it
Officially.
feel?
Yeah.
Actually feels
Yeah.
I can't believe you
freeing.
said that in your intro just then.
Yeah.
5 miles is an odd distance to Yellow Blaze. Was there something happening?
Had a friend on trail with me, which I'm happy to discuss later, who needed to catch a flight. And paying $200 to get a shuttle back was just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Get a bunch of people back. So.
Fair.
Do you feel lighter now that you've confessed this sin?
I do.
Good.
And with it, I'm going to submit my resignation. This has been fun.
Yeah, it was nice having
Yeah.
you, but
Yeah.
You can redeem yourself quickly by shitting your pants.
we're going to have to ask you
Way
to
ahead
leave.
of you.
Wow, exciting. Okay. Aren't you glad I did that?
Wait, that's your handwriting?
No. I asked to spin the wheel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good job. Nice.
Thank you.
Good effort,
Thank
Chaunce.
you. If you like that one, you'll like my next one.
Yeah.
My next one is to look up LMNT principles before you go hike. This one's similar to how Zach was like, if you're doing an FKT, you probably aren't needing advice from this episode caliber of like hiking experience level. I assume if you're taking on a long distance hike, maybe you've already brushed up with what Leave No Trace principles are, because it might not be your first foray. However, speaking from experience, I did not brush up on LMNT principles prior to my first hike, which was the PCT. And this comes up every so often. There was a rock that everyone had signed, or like a bench or something. I can't even remember what it was. Everyone had signed it. Not just the people around me, but past hikers. There were years, there were names. And I had come from a summer camp background where I thought, that's what you do. You sign the cabins. And so I signed the rock. And now every year I do get at least someone mentioning it. And I will never live it down. And had I known...
Specifically calling you out for something?
Yeah.
Were you like the only one? Why are you getting...
Because people know that I do this podcast. So I'll get like a DM photo of it or like an oh my God.
Yeah. And was it a rock or a bench?
I think it was a rock.
Okay.
But for some reason my brain reminds... I don't know. It was a rock and everyone had signed it. And you can still find it if you're going on the PCT. Just like, I get it. But I also kind of, in a weird backwards way... don't hate that so much because it reminds me of kind of where I started with backpacking in terms of, damn, that's how little I knew. Obviously would have preferred to not have done it, and you guys don't have to message me about it, but I do think that that's a good mental image for me of how fresh I was to the game when I started. And I think coming from other types of hiking, car camping, summer camp life, all that stuff, there's different things that feel right and wrong and cool and not cool. And I think when you enter the world of thru-hiking, like we're pretty not uptight, but we are strong in our beliefs of these principles, and people will go hard on them. And like not following the rules, this is one of those scenarios where that's not cool. And it's better to know that before you go out there than to be the one that thinks it's cool to break rules and then you're the dick on trail.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good culture that thru-hikers have established in terms of like self-policing with Leave No Trace. And I also think that, to your point, if the net effect of you signing the rock is that thousands of people now know that that's a dick move, that could be a net positive. Mm. But in addition to just learning specific mistakes like signing rocks, your broader point is learn all 7 principles.
I had a fun thought on this.
Yeah.
If Jess would like to play too.
I'm in.
I think...
Classic mistake is agreeing before you hear.
We make Zach name the 7 principles, and every time he gets it right, we drink from the center cup. And if he can't remember any, he finishes the center cup.
I think that's a good gamble.
I won't get any of them right, but
you don't know one?
If you gave me like a multiple choice question of like, is this a leave no, or is this a violation of Leave No Trace, I would get that 100% correctly.
Name one principle.
Is to camp only on established surfaces.
Yeah, travel and camp on durable surfaces.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take a drink for that. But you can't name a second.
Don't sign a rock.
Don't sign a rock is number 1.
Not specifically.
That's not what I heard.
The one about camping a certain distance from water, I don't know if that is a subcomponent or I
think that's the same one.
Is that the same thing?
Yeah. These are broad categories.
Yeah. Again, this is like leave no trash. I don't know the language that they use to...
How about I just tell us all 7 quick so the listener knows too.
Let's do that.
But that was fun. Thanks for squirming for me. Tip 1, plan ahead and prepare. Tip 2, travel and camp on durable surfaces. Good job, Zach. Tip 3, dispose of waste properly. Tip 4, leave what you find. Tip 5, minimize campfire impacts. Tip 6, respect wildlife. Tip 7, be considerate of others. Yes, that was off the top of my head. Thanks for asking.
Amazing. You got it word for word.
Yeah, I'm really articulate.
Yeah. We should also give a call out to our Leave No Trace episode, which was number 97.
Yes.
With Ben Lahan of Leave No Trace, who I think is no longer there. But still, he was awesome.
Forever in our earbuds.
That's right. All right. Jessica. Can I call you Jessica?
You may.
Okay.
I'll allow it. Chose an obvious one, but still think it's worth calling out. Drinking water is pretty important. I met some folks on trail that said they were hikers, not drinkers, and then folks that would camel up, quote unquote, and then not carry water with them and just try to wing it. I think drinking water is important. Don't forget about your electrolytes. I think it's also important that caffeine is not necessarily water. I definitely had a couple days on trail when I was drinking Red Bulls and thought that would suffice because there was liquid in that. Additionally, had a few days on trail where I would throw back the salt packets and not drink the water. Same with instant coffee, not drink the water that goes with the coffee. So that led to me almost passing out on the long trail, and got a few migraines in the whites. So drink your water.
This is something I have to remind myself in my day-to-day life, because for me, just relying on my level of thirst has led me astray. Like, I legitimately, my brain doesn't work right unless I'm cognizant about drinking a shit ton of water. But especially true on trail. And I'll add to Jess's point that in addition to drinking water, focus on, you mentioned the electrolytes, that I can't underplay the electrolytes, because I was a little too good at drinking water on trail. I am a very sweaty person. I've recently reminded myself that compared to the average population, I am much sweatier because I go to a gym with a sauna, and like, people are in there before me, and I am sweating before the people that are in there before me. So my sweat trigger is instantaneous. And my strategy was just to like force as much water into my body as possible, which is giving some context as to how I developed hyponatremia. That's the spoiler here, is I got hyponatremia, had to go to the hospital, had a lot of really negative health implications from it, was feeling dizzy, like couldn't think straight, a lot of brain fog, got a couple of saline solutions, and that turned me around almost instantly. From there on out, I took taking electrolytes very seriously, and that had a massive boost to my performance on the AT. And ever since, I've had electrolytes on every backpacking trip, and it's made a world of difference. So yeah, drinking water is important. Staying hydrated is the operative thing here, because if you're sweating a lot and you're just drinking water and you're not either taking electrolytes or being mindful about getting electrolytes through your food and supplementation, then bad things can happen. And it's not always as extreme as going to the hospital because you need hyponatremia. Like, there's obviously a spectrum of performance benefits that lead up to that point. You don't go from great to being hospitalized. There's steps along the way. So if you're feeling sluggish, if you feel like you don't have enough energy, if you feel like you're not thinking clearly, if any things that feel slightly off, there's a decent chance that that is a reflection of you not having your hydration dialed in. So drink water, take your electrolytes, and be merry.
I like that we transitioned from remember LNT to remember LMNT. Get it?
They are the title sponsor, and Jess wasn't aware of that when she made that her first point. So just goes to show how important electrolytes are. Okay. My second one. I will say, this is probably not a desirable anecdote for our sponsor, but I've been doing thru-hiking coaching with a fellow recently who has kidney stone issues, and I realized that high levels of sodium is actually very bad for that specific condition. So there's always other health factors to consider, and obviously high sodium is not great for people with blood pressure issues. I have the opposite. I have very low blood pressure, so I can basically drink seawater and it's good for me. But yeah, just maybe talk to a doctor. All right. Number 2. This is a huge one, and this is one that I continue to get wrong. So this is a beginner backpacking mistake, and I think just an impatient backpacking mistake, is don't let small problems become big problems. That means if you're feeling a hot spot in your foot, we all have been to that place where like we're feeling the flow. We recently took a break. You feel a hot spot in our foot, and you just want to keep you want to get to the shelter before sunset, or you're just feeling good exercising, you don't want to take a break. That mentality is how you end up fucking up your hike real bad. As soon as you notice something even slightly askew, deal with it instantaneously. For me, if I feel a hot spot in my foot, I'm taking my shoe off, my sock off, I'm getting Luco tape on it, or if I'm near a water source, I'll dunk my foot into a cold water source. That helps tremendously. But like the sensation of having a tiny pebble in your shoe, just being like, I'll get this at my lunch break in 4 miles, is a terrible idea. For a day hike, you can get away with it because, you know, the hot spot will probably just stay a hot spot. But once you add 20 miles on top of a hot spot, that's where a blister is made. For me, the even more likely culprit nowadays is chafing. Once I notice that I'm getting that uncomfortable rub situation, again, instead of being like, I'll deal with this when I get to the shelter, or I'll deal with this when I get to camp, or when I get to lunch, or whatever it might be, like, it can be inconvenient, but stopping and dealing with it immediately is going to have a huge impact on the happiness of your hike over the long term. Again, these are things that you can get away with on a day hike. You don't have to worry about for shorter treks. But for longer backpacking trips, as soon as you notice something, deal with it instantly. It is not worth putting off. It always backfires.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
You talked about chafe. What's your chafe solution?
Great question. So I've gone through a lot of things. Currently, Aquaphor is my go-to. That's the petroleum jelly, right? Yeah. Petroleum jelly has been very good for me. And also the areas that I get chafe also happen to be hairy. This is a TMI situation, but I'll share. I've noticed dealing with the hair before I leave for a backpacking trip is also beneficial. Just cuts down on things to rub.
On a longer backpacking trip, do you shave your pubes along the way?
I don't think that it's been a minute since. So what comes to memory is before the Tahoe Rim Trail, and that's obviously a short enough trail where, and I'm not like growing pubes at Wolverine's pace. Shaving before was taking care of that situation. I don't think I dealt with that on the PCT.
Do you have a number of days a person should shave in advance so that you don't get that weird like freshly shaved burn rub? Like when the little pokies are poking through?
Yeah. I would say this is something to figure out on shakedown hikes for yourself, see what works for you. I use the beard trimmer, so I'm not using a straight razor. So going straight razor might not be a good solution. You might get a 5 o'clock shadow effect in unwanted areas. But I found reducing the amount of hair has been beneficial to the friction situation.
I like that. I like that your second tip is check your pubes on your shakedown hikes. I think
I would
that's going to
say
be the main bullet.
manage your pubes before the shakedown hike and then evaluate to see, like, I could go shorter. This is good. But, yeah, for me, the combination of having a lot of body hair and also being very sweaty, it's just the body hair just holds on to the sweat, so it creates, like, a bristle effect. Again, this is maybe TMI, but here we are.
Are there other spots you'd shave? Like, do you shave your thighs?
The thighs are the biggest culprit for me, typically.
So you do shave your thighs?
Like the inner thigh rub is where I get it the most, yeah.
So you do shave them?
Before backpacking trips, I have. Again, I don't use I don't use like a razor. I use the beard trimmer.
Do you shave the rest of the thigh, or does it just look like hair and then all of a sudden no hair?
Hair, no hair, but the areas that I'm shaving are the least hairiest part of my body. So it's not like... I one time actually did shave here. I forgot what the thinking was there. I probably had a really good reason for it, knowing me, but that looked...
Elbow to wrist or just your elbow?
I forgot. I think I just started shaving my... It becomes a slippery slope because, like, if you start shaving your back, you're like, well, I have hairs on my shoulder. And then before you know it, you're at your arm, like, oh, God, I have to make a decision right now. And I just decided to stop somewhere on the
elbow
bicep line. Yeah.
So, like, picture a Cinderella glove, like, nice and fancy all the way up the arm.
Yeah, like
one of those... that's the hair.
I have the
elegant.
A compression sleeve of hair. It wasn't a good look. I haven't repeated that one, but I don't have the same issue with the inner thigh.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for telling us about your pubes.
Yeah. Have you guys evolved to know to deal with the hot spots in your feet as soon as you feel something, or do you still push through and you're like, I'll just deal with this when it matters?
It depends. Ozark Highlands Trail was one where I could apply this logic to, where I didn't want to do something small every time, like cross a stream and take off my shoes, because there were just so many freaking streams. So I just left my shoes on. And that could have been a little thing that I did differently if I had the patience to wait for my feet to dry and put them back in the socks and shoes.
Were you noticing any negative repercussions from doing that?
Yeah, my feet were like torn to shreds. I've never had blisters like that in my life.
Okay.
But at that point I had them. So it was like, well, if they're already there, they're just going to hurt from taking the socks on and off. So I'll just keep the shoes on anyway. And then it just got worse, and it continued to get worse. I've still got 2 little spots on the bottom of my feet from that hike. And I don't know what they are, but I saw something that kind of like mentioned something. Look, under my big toe. Do you see it?
Yeah.
That round thing?
That looks like knowing what you said now, I know that this isn't the case, but it looks like a wart that has been burnt off. I know that.
But there's one on the other foot that's identical and in the same place.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They're twins.
Yeah.
And they both came from that trail, and they've never gone away.
Yeah.
So, if only I took my shoes off.
Note to editor to blur out the feet. No
Oh, yeah.
free feet.
No, that's how we get people
Only
to
fans.
Yeah, right.
Patreon.
Yeah.
Patreon is unblurred.
Fact. Okay. Number 2.
My second one, hear me out here. My second one goes to not married people. That takes a little more thought and consideration, but just like casual dating people. If you don't like who you're dating at home, consider dumping them prior to the trail, because it is very hard to get through a 6-month hike with a significant other at home. I'm not saying it's not possible. If you're in a relationship, do not cower in fear at the thought of that. Plenty of people I've hiked with have had relationships where one person's at home and they've made it work. But plenty of people I've hiked with also have had relationships at home that didn't work. And I feel like they're the last person to see it on trail, because you're in this vulnerable state where, like, you need that security of having, like, old trusty on the phone to remind you that you're still you. But, like, the number of times where we're doing something and the person who's in the relationship, you'd see them have to leave the motel room or step outside of the dinner or leave the bar or do whatever to call their partner. Nothing's wrong with that, right? Like, it does take away from the experience a bit, but if the experience at home is worth it, nothing's wrong with that. That's not the part that I'm poo-pooing. It's just like, sometimes you see the person and you can tell that they don't want to go take that call, or you can see like a sigh of relief when you get back in from that call, or you just know based on how the past calls have gone that they're going to come back in and have fought. And like everyone around kind of knows, hey, like, this isn't going to last till Maine. Like, this isn't going to work till Canada. This is definitely, like, there's an expiration date on this and how long they can keep this up. But they try so hard to make it work for a while that it ends up impacting the hike that the hiker's having. It impacts the person at home and the time they're having. And it just ends up not being something that they can work past. And maybe if they had more open conversations leading up to the trail, they'd realize that the amount of communication and the way that it would happen and the infrequency of it maybe wasn't something that aligned for them. And they could have saved themselves both some stress by just being real about it in advance. Not the most cheery tip, but it's just something you see. Like, you're nodding while I'm saying it. I take as means you've seen that scenario play out.
Oh, yeah. I met a ton of folks on trail last year that went through breakups with folks at home.
Yeah.
It's just the reality of the situation. If you're out, you're doing something fun every day, and maybe you can't talk to your partner because you don't have service for a few days, or you get home and... What'd you call him? Old trusty?
Yeah.
Old trusty's at home working every day. They're getting on the phone. What'd you do today?
Bitter and resentful.
Exactly.
Not that everyone at home is. Again, don't hate me. But, like, did you know that they were going to break up before the hiker knew?
I saw it happen, for sure.
But, like,
Absolutely.
did you see it coming?
Absolutely.
Yeah. See? Like, we can all see it coming.
And there are definitely folks, me included. I had a boyfriend at home. We're still dating. He's out here in Denver with me now. Like, I can work for folks.
Yeah.
And some folks it doesn't work for. So,
yeah.
know you. I think it's a great point.
I think the key between it working for some folks and it not working for some folks is genuinely how much you discuss things in advance prior to setting on trail. Like, how much you discuss what communication will and won't look like, how much you discuss what the person at home's needs are. Like, it's not just about you and your resupply boxes and making sure they get to the post office. Like, what does the person at home need from you on trail? And is that something that you can commit to? And vice versa. But I think just talk about it. And if you're leaning towards it maybe not being a good fit, you know.
I would say the answer to this one is built into the tip at large. It says, if you don't like who you're dating at home, consider dumping them. I don't think you need to wait for a hike. If you don't like who you're dating, yeah, get them out. But I will say, to your point, a hike is a really good excuse to be like, listen, this is just definitely not going to work. But also it has a tremendous opportunity to rob you from this amazing experience. So don't let it get to that. But also, if your hike's in 2 years and you don't like who you're dating, I would encourage you to get rid of them.
Yeah, maybe dump them now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, if you're going to this hike thinking, like, I'm going to come home and propose and we're going to get married, you know, like, if you can see that future with them, make it work. But if it's just like your college fling that you actually don't see a future with, that was just fun while the semester was in session, I can see the appeal of letting it trickle out on trail and letting it phase out that way rather than having to do a hard thing, but just do the hard thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'll speak for myself. I've been in relationships where like I knew it wasn't going to work. Definitely don't carry that into a backpacking trip.
Yeah.
But yeah, also just life advice. Fucking just do it. Just do it already. Save yourself.
Yeah.
That person sucks. You're way better than them.
Okay,
They don't even
need to be
appreciate
mean
you.
to them.
They don't even appreciate
I'm sure they're
you.
worthy of love
They
too.
don't even appreciate you. You wore that thing the other day and they didn't even compliment
This is
it.
toxic. You work for him.
Yeah, she's contractually
resignation.
obligated to agree with everything that I say.
Or you could disagree and make him spin the wheel.
Oh. Yeah, maybe we'll just do that. Spin the wheel, Zach.
Oh. Yes, I knew I liked you.
That's what I wanted her to say, therefore.
Oh, shoot.
The point still
Who do you
stands.
think you are? I am.
All right. That's a 30S beer. Well, this is a great opportunity to get a beer. Oh, wait, you're the drink bitch.
Did you take that off here?
Currently is not an
So
option.
you just removed it and I'm just permanently drink bitch?
You're stuck in drink bitch territory.
Okay, I'll do it, but that's BS.
Yeah. While you grab your beer, since the fridge is quite the hike, Jess, if you want to get started with your second point.
Sounds good. This one's definitely oriented for thru hikers, and I know. I'll start with this. I know plenty of folks, me included, that invited friends and family out to join them on trail for a day or two for a bit of a stretch. But my hot tip is don't invite your friends or family to hike with you when you've already been out for months. When you've been thru hiking, you've got those strong hiker legs. You truly really want to move at a pace that is just a bit faster and a bit more than your friends or family can handle. And you might want to slow down for a few days, and that can be great. But to be honest, it can be a bit frustrating. Maybe you wanted to keep the momentum up, or maybe you're watching your family hike away from you. You're losing track of folks that you wanted to keep pace with. So it can put undue stress on you. It can put undue stress on your family or friends. So yeah, my hot tip is just don't see anybody until you get home. You don't need to.
Sorry, there was a lot of chaos in the background.
I thought you said 4 cans.
No,
I was
no,
like,
no,
okay.
no. Yeah. Thank you to Four Noses. They gave us a bunch of beer for free, so I
Yeah.
thought it was appropriate to drink their beer.
Yeah.
Four Noses based in Broomfield. Not paying us, but the beer's free. So
Zach just put up the number 4, and so I thought he wanted 4 beers. So I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Party.
Brought back
they
more.
also brought us a Frisbee, so I'm very excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
Not to take away from Justice's point, because I think this is kind of a controversial point, and I suspect maybe Chaunce will have a different point of view on it. Maybe not. But I do have a story from the AT, which is a direct +1 on your overview there. Is I invited my cousin, who I love my cousin dearly. It was a good idea to invite him out because we get along so well. But he came out on the AT when I was in Vermont, and that's like peak hiker fitness. You haven't hit the whites yet, so you haven't destroyed your legs. Like at that point, I was probably doing somewhere between like 16 to 20 miles per day in Vermont too. That's not easy terrain. And he came out in normal human fitness, like not thru-hiker fitness, and we kind of compromised. Like I think if he had it his way, we probably would have done 8 miles per day. If we had it my way, we would have done 18 miles per day. We ended up doing 14 to 15 miles per day. And the guys that I was hiking with at the time were nice enough to kind of reduce their pace to stay with us, but I sensed a little bit of like, this isn't what we would ideally like to be doing. So there was a compromise, not just for me, but for more members of the group. And he was planning on doing, I think, 100 miles of the trail with me, and ended up going back after about 70. He was so exhausted that he couldn't talk. Like he lost his voice. Like he would attempt to speak and there was nothing that came out. And you know, it didn't end on bad terms. Like we still get along great, but it was definitely just a mishmash of, I think, what he came out to experience and what I wanted at that time on the trail. It just was not a cohesive experience. So yeah, I definitely have experienced that myself on trail, and I know there are instances where it can work, but in my particular scenario, it was more stressful than anything else.
Yeah, I agree. there was a time in the 100-mile wilderness on the AT when we were very close to the end where our good friend Paris invited his friends out to hike with us. And it was just like comedic. Like he was like, they will be able to keep up. Like, no, they would not. Right.
It's an impossible expectation.
But it was fun. Like
your friend is like, oh, my friend's Scott Jurek. Then you need to calm down.
I think the big thing too is like, their friends were really fun. So we stayed back to hike with them just like yours had, but we were so close to the end that we were like, we got flights to catch. Like we literally can't. So he didn't summit with me to Katahdin, and we saw a bunch of our group on the way back down, and I didn't see him in that group either. I'm pretty positive he didn't summit with the rest of the group either. I think it took him a while with his friends to get there. But he was so convinced that this wouldn't happen. And I think the thing to remember especially is if they can't keep up, it's not necessarily going to be that they realize they can't keep up on the first day and they can just go back to their car. Usually they can do the first day, because the first day we did like 18 or 20, and like these are bigger dudes. They, I can do it, and they make it. And then the next morning, it's like, you can make it the first day, but can you make it the second?
Yeah. ...
And they were just in pain the second day. And compiling the days is what gets really hard. Like, you might think, okay, they're doing 16 miles a day. I've done this 16-mile hike before. I've been totally fine. It's no big deal. But it's not about the 16 miles. It's about day 2 and day 3 and day 4. And have you done those back to back to back to back before? Because that's where it gets sneaky tricky.
I think what's also kind of misleading is like, your friends can be in really good shape, your friends and family can be, but are they in hiking day after day after day shape?
Right.
Yeah.
That's the question.
These are different things.
Yeah, there's nothing that replicates that. Again, maybe the exception would be like someone who's an ultra runner who's actually like doing 50 to 70 miles running.
Sure.
per
If
week.
you have ultra runner friends, feel free to invite them.
And then still maybe like it is a different activity. If they're if they don't have ultralight gear and they're all of a sudden throwing 30 pounds on their pack, they might be incredibly fit and they're just not prepared for doing 2,000-foot climbs with 30 pounds on their back.
Yeah, I think it can be misleading when you see the like vast range of sizes and shapes that people come in that complete the AT or any long trail. It's like, okay, like naturally we want to size ourselves up and say, okay, if someone at what looks like a similar fitness level or a worse fitness level can complete that, maybe I can too, because you're trying to see like, where do I fit in this? But the compound interest factor, it's like if someone practiced piano every day for hours for 6 months, they could probably play a song that if you sat down to play, you might not be able to play it as well, right? And it has nothing to do with who's already doing it as much as the amount of time that they've put into doing that thing.
Yeah.
But if you do want to visit your hiker on trail, might I recommend finding a spot to meet them along their resupply where you can either camp with them on trail or provide a midday break meal where you bring them a bunch of stuff that they can't access as easily, like hot food. And you meet them on their turf and you just cut out the part where you actually travel with them. Meet them at a campsite. And if you want to do more than a day thing, meet them at the next campsite. And bring your car and bring your hot food with them. Yeah. So that would be fun.
Yep. Good point. And I don't know if we've actually discussed that at length before, so thank you for adding that. Okay, my third and I think final point is... This is something that took me, I'll call this slightly beyond beginner, is consider the weight of everything, weight and space of everything in your pack. The obvious thing that stands out for me here is food. When you go and buy a package of Oreos, you should not just be taking a package of Oreos and dropping it in your pack. Take the Oreos out, put it into a Ziploc bag, and that times literally everything that you buy at a grocery store. Not only makes a difference in terms of the weight, but also the added space in your pack. Any smart seasoned thru-hiker, you'll see them consolidating their food once they get out of a grocery store immediately. and the amount of packaging and wrapping that they're getting rid of is, I would say, not an insignificant amount of weight. Like, certainly ounces. Like, think about when you're spending an extra $100 on a sleeping bag that is 4 ounces lighter. You can save that much weight just getting rid of the additional plastic packaging from your groceries.
Not even weight, but if you look at someone who's sitting outside a grocery store unpackaging their stuff and throwing a bunch of it in the trash, that stuff's going in the trash either way. It's just a question of, is it going in that trash can, or are you carrying it to the next town?
Yeah. Don't carry anything that you don't need to carry, I think, is the operative thing. It also just packs strangely when you're trying to fit a case of Oreos in your pack. Like, Ziplocs work much better. But also extrapolate that mentality to everything in your pack. So, like, sleeping bags are going to have tags on the inside. Snip those. Tents, you're going to get unnecessary storage sacks for your tent, and sometimes you see like rain jackets coming with their own bag, and you could probably extrapolate that to every individual piece of apparel nowadays. All that shit is unnecessary in the course of a thru hike. You should have dedicated dry sacks for the things that you need to absolutely keep dry, like your sleeping bag. Sometimes that can just be a pack liner. If you have a different system, that's fine. But don't just have unnecessary bags floating around in your pack. Tags, again, think of all the excess. This is the same mentality why people cut their toothbrushes in half. I know recent guest Tate has varying thoughts on that, but I think overall, as an overarching mentality to carry into backpacking, it makes a difference. As they say, grams turn into ounces, ounces turn into pounds. It might seem small when you're just looking at one particular item, but like when you apply that mentality across your pack, it does make a huge difference. And when you're going out for months at a time, that's a tremendous amount of strain that you're saving your body.
I'm going to piggyback on what you said, because this is something that my brain has thought was so obvious that I never really thought about it until you just said that, and then I thought about it, which is have a gallon Ziploc that you can use specifically for your trash. This goes into Zach's consider the weight and space of everything mentality. I think in the beginning I didn't necessarily have a dedicated Ziploc to trash, and I would just put the trash back in my food bag or do whatever. And if you're just tucking trash into like the hip belt pocket, into the back mesh, into your bag corner, into the food bag, you're likely not getting rid of all that trash the next time you get to a trash can. Mm-hmm. If you have it all in your trash bag, the trash bag goes in the trash can, and you know your trash is out of your pack. Versus if you're just tucking it where it fits, when it fits, you know, you might not be checking underneath where your water bottles go in the side pocket, or in, you know, all those little places. And now you're taking that trash not just from where you ate it to the next town, but maybe the next couple towns before you finally remember, oh yeah, I put that at the very bottom there.
Yeah. And you're also more prone to just losing a wrapper on trail, which violates your first point about leave no trace. Mm-hmm. So yeah, having a dedicated place for trash is a good one for sure.
Can I piggyback on that piggyback?
Oh, piggyback on my piggyback.
Piggybackception.
Wow. Keep your trash bag accessible.
Yeah.
A lot of people would bury their trash bag in their backpack when they were hiking, and then stuff all their wrappers in their fanny pack while they go all day. And then same thing happens. You lose a wrapper on trail because you were too lazy to dig out your trash bag. So keep it accessible. Keep it at the top of your pack or in the mesh. That's where I kept mine. So during a lunch, I would just throw all my trash in the trash bag and go.
Yeah, if you're sitting at lunch at your desk and you've got trash, like, you're not going to take that trash and go put it in your bed until you're ready to put it in the trash can, right? Like, put your trash bag in the outer mesh of your backpack so that your stanky trash doesn't get in with your nice stuff.
Yeah. And if you're backpacking and you see a wrapper, pick it up, because we've probably all accidentally dropped something. So positive LMNT karma. Leave the trail better than you left it, even if you aren't always perfect.
Not my third point, but definitely an honorable mention is that the trail karma is real.
Definitely. Yeah. Be a good steward on trail.
Build your positive trail karma so that when you need it, you can cash in on it.
Yeah. I do have one regret for a time I picked up trash, is I picked up a used Band-Aid.
Ooh.
I should, like, leaving it there is not good either, but.
Did you die?
I'm here.
There you go.
But this was early on in the Appalachian Trails days, and I was hiking with another prominent hiker, and I wanted to, like, leave a good impression, and he even gave me a look like, are you sure, dude? I'm like, no, I do this all the time.
It's cool.
Yeah.
I'm cool.
Yeah. You ate it, right?
Yeah,
there?
well, obviously, the easiest way to dispose of it is through your bowels. So.
Did you think he was do you think he was impressed?
I think he thought that I was probably stupid, honestly, which would have been the correct assumption.
Nice.
But yeah, don't lose Band-Aids on trail.
Yeah, don't wear Band-Aids on trail. They fall off. Case in point.
Leukotape.
Leukotape. Okay, my last one. This is another one I ripped off from Hiking from Home, just because it's so topical for these. But this one is take photos of your stuff. There is a section of the book that covers like what to do if someone goes missing on trail, like who to contact if something is wrong, right? Like, doesn't happen to most of us. Most of the time, everything's fine. Most of the time, we over worry. But every now and then, something happens, and you see one of those missing flyers start to circulate, right? This is for one of those worst case scenarios where if there's something you can do in advance to make it less difficult, should that be you, definitely make some effort to do that, because it will help everyone find you faster, and it will help make things nicer for people at home. This section I had written with Sally Fowler, who is Chris Fowler's mom, who went missing on the PCT, and we talked about things that she wished he had done beforehand that could have made the process once he did go missing more manageable. And so this is a list of things that you can do before you take off on trail, that you can leave with someone at home, like perhaps the person coordinating your resupplies, that just in the event that for some reason something happens, they have this to fall back on. It's like a prenup. You never want to use it, but if you do, you got it in the drawer. And that is your name and nickname, your trail name if you get one, or other aliases you go by.
Wait, are you guys getting a prenup?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah. I want one.
Who's protecting who?
I want a prenup.
Okay.
He doesn't care.
Interesting.
I want to spell everything out. We'll leave it to the state. You have one either way. The state's going to decide. You know, it's like, do I want to go by the state's rules, or do I want to specify some things that like are more pertinent to us specifically? So,
have you considered the impact once, if you do decide to reproduce, the challenges of being dual income earners?
Right. Well, that would go in the prenup.
Okay.
Is like, if one of us stops earning income, like if I stay home with the kids and then we get divorced, what does that entail for me financially?
Okay.
You know?
Beginner backpacker mistakes.
Yeah.
Don't have a prenup.
Yeah. Prenup.
Gotta have one.
I'm fully confident that our marriage will last a lifetime. I love you, Garrett. Anyway, your name and nickname, trail name or other aliases, your phone number and your phone provider, a photo of your driver's license or passport, and your insurance card, your physical description, so your height, weight, age, hair color, eye color, any noticeable scars, tattoos, any other characteristics that could be used for identification, any recent photos of you on trail. So like you could have this photo that's on your LinkedIn before you go to trail, but month 4 when you've got a big shaggy beard and you look a mess, like that's not really going to help. So, you know, to that person, send them a photo every couple of weeks. List and photos of any gear, clothing, shoes. So this is a great reason to use something like Lighter Pack to list out all your gear items, is because then that could be referred to. So including color, brand, model, and size. List your medications, allergies, and any other notable medical conditions. Your last updated trip itinerary. So if you know, hey, from this section, we are aiming to get to this next town and we hope to be there on this day. That's something you might in passing be telling a resupply person anyway, or like your mom. But tell someone, you know, when you leave town again, what your plan is for the next stretch. It doesn't have to be in case I go missing kind of way. It could just be like, hey, we're going to Duncannon next. We should be there on Thursday. Your anticipated check-in date and location, any other factors that may affect your ability to be in contact, for example, bad weather, medical conditions, difficult terrain, etc. So maybe I tell someone, hey, I will be in Big Bear on this date. However, there's snow on this stretch, and so it could be until the next day that I get there. Or you could mention we are expecting a storm on the second night, you know, any details like that. And then names and phone numbers of other hikers that are with you. So if you start to form a trail family, shoot over the name and phone numbers of who's in the trail family to whoever your at-home person is. It's always nice to know, just in case they can't contact you, someone else in your group that they could reach out to. And finally, if you want to be really on top of your stuff, and I have to admit that I don't do this, but I could see why it would be helpful, is a sealed envelope of your passwords, your various account details, and your living will. So those are all things that you could put together before going on trail that would help ensure a smooth system is in place should something happen while you're out there. Which, knock on wood, it won't.
Beginner backpacker mistake, not preparing for your death.
Yeah.
Yeah. As maybe a supplement or an alternative to Chaunce's suggestion is definitely bringing a satellite communicator, especially if you're just doing something more remote than a very busy trail. And even on something like the AT, I think that definitely has a good use case. But satellite communicator, because I probably will never do all the things that Chaunce mentioned, even though it is good advice.
But in some ways you do. Like, we post photos to Instagram, so we have photos of our gear up on there.
Yeah.
We do podcasts like this where we talk about our gear so people know, like, what gear we typically have been carrying.
Yeah.
You know, like, a bunch of this stuff is not stuff that I've sat down and consciously done, but it's stuff where I'm like, okay, like, have I done that? Yeah, I actually have. I didn't think I did, but now that I'm thinking about it, my mom does know Jukebox's phone number, you know? Or when I was doing the stretch from Mammoth to Whitney, I did tell her not to worry until after the 12th day, even though she called you on the 9th.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like, and none of those take much thought.
Right.
But I think we do more than we think we do.
Yeah, but just the satellite communicator resolves all that issue. And I understand price prohibitive for a lot of people, and things can happen, but just if you're a fan of simplicity, that would be my advocating advice.
And I think at the bare minimum, sharing that trail itinerary is a good one. I definitely made the mistake of telling folks I was going to be home and getting the dates wrong. I was going to be here at this time. My parents did call the West Virginia Forest Rangers.
Did they?
Oh, yeah.
What
this
happened?
was before thru-hiking. I was out in Cranberry Wilderness with a buddy of mine. It was over Memorial Day weekend. I told them I'd be back on Sunday. I meant Monday. Obviously, they didn't hear from me on Sunday morning. They freaked out, called everyone, all my coworkers at my old job. Everybody heard from my parents, people I hadn't talked to in years on Facebook. And then when I got out of the woods, I'm like vibrating so high. I'm like, wow, what an amazing hike that was. My cup be filleth. Amazing. I check my phone. There's 300 texts being like, are you dead? Mom and Dad on the way to West Virginia.
Yeah.
Are you dead? Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, I am. Thank you for checking in.
Yeah. No, in today's over-connected society, I feel bad advocating for another form of connection, but I think that would have solved that problem. I've run into that myself as well. And again, I realize that not everyone wants to plop down $200 for a device and then whatever fees they're going to throw on top of it. So I understand that. And I think that information is especially applicable if a satellite communicator is cost prohibitive. But if you've got the money for it, it's just so much easier. And it doesn't have to be either or. You can do both. I'm just lazy.
Yay.
All right.
Number 3?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. My last one, and I'm interested to hear what you guys think about this one because I feel it pretty strongly. My number 3 is don't marry your trail family or tramily. For me, I got lucky enough to meet a couple of folks pretty early on into my AT hike, and we hiked pretty much all the way to Katahdin together. And there were definitely moments during that hike where the threat of, you know, losing them on trail, them out hiking me or me out hiking them started to wig me out. I'm like, well, if I don't have my friends, then what even am I doing? And I think a lot of folks head out to trail to foster that sense of independence, and I definitely did. And on my way out there, I was like, I'm going to find myself on trail. So then I did the opposite and hung out with the same folks the entire time. So I think don't marry your trail family. Be open to meeting new people. Spend some time on your own. You know, don't be afraid to do that. And definitely make a point to recharge your social battery if you've been hiking around the same folks nonstop. You know, take some time. Hike on your own. Don't talk to people. Definitely one of my regrets.
Yeah.
I very much agree with this. I also tend to be more of the independent type. Like I'm not the sort of personality that would just latch onto somebody. So consider the perspective on that. But I think this is actually like perfectly in line with Chaunce's tip about if you sense you're in a bad relationship, break it off. I think, just to double down on the point, be honest with yourself about your social situation on trail. Like if you are vibing out hardcore with the people that you meet early on and you're like, I think I just made my new best friend, then do marry your family. But if you're just doing it because you want the social security net of having a familiar face around, then I think, to your point, you're robbing yourself of the opportunity of meeting other really cool people. And potentially, if you're hiking at their pace, then you are elevating the risk of injury or moving slower than you could otherwise move if there was an advantage there. So yeah, it's a case-by-case basis. But I do think people tend to fall into the trap of just wanting the social security blanket of a familiar face, even if it's not the ideal fit for them. And again, it's just a matter of being very honest with yourself. Is like, is this person amazing? Like, do I want this person to be my hiking partner for the next X number of months, or am I just doing this because it feels safe?
Yeah, I think while it feels uncomfortable, the easiest thing to do is just be super transparent with the people around you. We went through a somewhat tramily breakup at the Delaware Water Gap, or around there at least, on the AT. And it was at that time and point, me and the guy I was hooking up with, and then another couple were hiking together. And we had been hiking together long enough where, like, it was assumed at night we'd be like, where do we want to go tomorrow? And we'd, like, pick a spot and we'd go. To the point where if one of us were to just not show up at camp, like, we had that close enough relationship where we would start to worry about them. Like, how come they didn't make it? And so it wasn't just like a thing where it was like, oh, we'll just change our mileage this day. Like, we kind of noticed we're on a little bit different paces. We're trying to do a couple different things. Like, our goals are slightly starting to shift, and I think everyone feels it, but no one wants to necessarily say it. And so we were so nervous for it. It was like this, I can't remember what the town was, but it was this town that had the weirdest food deal. It was like a slice of pie and a hot dog, or like something really weird. And we were meeting at that spot, and we were like, all right, this is where we're going to have this conversation, and we're just going to say it this way, and it's going to be fine, and no one's going to be hurt, and like everyone's going to be friends, and it'll be okay. Because we love them, like we want things to be good, but it just, the hiking paces weren't in rhythm anymore. And we got there and we had that conversation, and it was honestly so easy because it was like, yeah, we've been feeling this too. And it was nice to just get it out in the air. And it was kind of uncomfortable in a way because that night we all ended up camping at the same spot. So we were like, oh, you guys are here too. We just talked about how we weren't going to plan camping together, and now here we are camping together. And it's like after you say bye to someone and then you're walking in the same direction, like,
I mean, you are literally walking
literally
in the same direction.
You are.
Yeah.
But it felt kind of lighter because it was like now we don't need to have that conversation tonight of where we want to go to tomorrow. Now we're having that conversation of where do you guys plan on going tomorrow, in a way where it's like we're not doing this together anymore. And even though we're still camping together tonight, we're no longer structuring our days together. And it was nerve-wracking leading up to that because we just didn't want anything to be taken the wrong way or in a I don't like you anymore, I don't like hiking with you anymore kind of way. And I think there's no way to really achieve that apart from just being transparent. Because if you are to just beat around the bush with it and say, oh, maybe we'll go an extra 5 miles tonight and not be clear, if you've been hiking with these people for a set amount of time, what you think might be just like not having a conversation and making things easy by just letting them drift could actually worry other people if they are thinking what's happening that they didn't make it, So just have the hard conversation. It'll go easier than you think, but don't feel like you have to stay with your family, like Jess said, because like we had joined another group after that and it was so much fun. And it feels like my trip had now 2 really great experiences to it with 2 completely different groups. But just like being brave in that moment and doing it was really hard. But you'll be happy you did.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I have a chapter in Appalachian Trials about hiking your own hike, and a big part of that is what I had witnessed with a group that I was in and out of for a while. One of the fellows in the group I could sense, I think, just felt kind of stuck in the group. Like some of the characters in the group I thought had shady traits, and he was a good guy, but they'd been hiking together for so long that I think he felt kind of trapped in it. And that was what inspired that part of the chapter. But I think it is a all too common thing about people it's a human trait. People will feel comfort in their groups, and sometimes they stay with them for better or for worse. And the trail is a really good opportunity to find yourself, like you said, was an inspiration for you when you hit the trail, but also to meet some really cool people. And sticking with people who are not the best fit can rob you of that experience.
Having learned this on the AT, I feel like something that I would call out, especially for those of you that are listening and are actively hiking the AT right now or in those first few hundred miles, is this is a great time to, if you're not super vibing out with your family, go out on your own. There are a ton of folks on trail. Go meet some new people. And the further north you get, especially if you're Nobo, the more expensive it gets. And there definitely is a financial pressure to stick together with folks if you're trying to share a $200 hotel room in Great Barrington, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
So yeah, do it sooner than later. Branch out. And be proactive about it. If you got to take a zero to get away from some folks, take a zero.
I'm gonna say one more piggyback, if I can, which more is going to be applicable to the people at home that are listening to this while still planning to start, like maybe our late May starters. I think once you get on trail, you start to realize this pretty quickly, but maybe if you're in that nervous pre-hike 2 weeks away phase, you might not know this as much, but you don't need to seek out friendships the way you normally would in real life. Like in real life, when I'm looking for friends, I'm looking for people that are of similar age range, that look like maybe they wear clothes that I like, that like I don't know, just like at a glance, I'm judging you and seeing if we have stuff in common, right? Like that boils down to what people find in friendships surface levelly off a glance before they get to know someone. So that's typically like a real world thing. Are they my age range? Do they look like they're in a similar place in life? Do we look like we'd have things in common based on their appearance or based on what they're doing? When you're on trail, some of your closest friends could be people that are triple your age, could be people that are double your age, could be people that...
I never meet anyone on trail that's triple my age, Chaunce.
Well, if you're 18 and you're hiking...
No, I'm joking.
You know... you could meet people that, like, you are a single kid going into college and you could be really good friends with a married couple that just retired. I just think if you're at home and you're prepping for your hike right now and you haven't yet stepped on trail, because it's going to be blatantly obvious when you do because of how nice everyone is. But if you're in that, oh my God, I hope people starting are my age. I looked at the demographics on the survey and it said that only this amount of people in my age range are there. And that pre-dread... the parameters for friendship are much wider than they are in real life, and it is great. It's so nice to be able to talk to people from different walks of life that have had different experiences, that are at different places, and to just like meet each other on an equal playing field, and be able to talk to each other as equals is such a valuable thing, where like forget the demographics and the numbers and what the math says of how many people in your age range and your chosen gender and your like all your specific things are out there. That's not important. You're gonna find people who are really great that you love being around, and they might not be people you ever would have pictured yourself being good friends with in day-to-day life.
Yeah, especially on trail like the AT, you get a wide demographic spread. And I shared a hotel room with Peregrine, who is, I would guess, in his early 60s, an entomologist from Greenville, South Carolina, like somebody I would have never thought would be a friend of mine at any point in life. And he was awesome. Like that was a really cool experience. And like had I made, to Chaunce's point, the filter of people who were similar to me to seek out friendship before the trail, that would have never been somebody that was I was swiping right on, and it was an amazing experience. So yeah, just be open to all the things that the trail can throw your way. I think at this point we're maybe skewing a little ATE.
I was open to being friends with you.
This is true.
And that was prior to the PCT.
But I'm saying just
and I know you're way older than me.
For general, way older, like almost 10%.
Please. Don't do yourself favors.
I know you struggle with percents.
That's 3.3. You're not 3.3 years older than me.
But yeah, I mean, obviously something like the Colorado Trail is going to be different than the AT and the PCT. So just trying to keep the backpacking, the beginner backpacking aspect of this in mind is this isn't going to be just AT, PCT. But
correct. On any trail, you might meet people that are great that are not in your age range.
Yeah, but not every trail is going to have a bubble. So I guess the early friend filter thing is only applicable to like popular thru hikes. So I'm just trying to be mindful for people who are listening to this that might not be tuning in for AT-PCT, that's kind of skews AT-PCT.
Yeah, it's a more popular trail. If your first backpacking trip is insert barren, non-populated trail here, then yeah, you probably won't make any friends. So get used to being by yourself.
That's right.
Good rule of life, though. Don't have to stick around with folks that you don't like.
Get used to your own company, honestly. Life is easier when you do.
Yeah. Learn to love yourself.
Yeah. How old are you?
39.
Yeah, you're more than 10%.
Social security number.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. You'd have to be 36.6 to be 10% older.
So now percents make sense to you, but when we were talking about elevation gain, you were having a real problem with that?
No, it wasn't elevation gain. It was trucker mileage talk.
What?
It was the mileage talk of the percentages on the highways, the grades.
No, the mailbag that I'm referencing to goes back to you were struggling with how elevation gain works. It's literally just a percentage of elevation gain over distance.
That was the guy talking about the trucker slopes.
I don't
The grades where it's like trucks, like there's a 6% grade on this highway.
Yeah, but we're talking about backpacking right now.
That's literally what they emailed us about.
I know, but they were referencing, in reference to GPS's episode, we were talking about elevation gain, and you were saying it only made sense in 100-foot increments or 100.
Okay, I'm going to disagree. Spin the wheel.
You spin the wheel.
I'll spin the wheel if you spin the wheel.
You spin the wheel first.
Tempt me.
Yes.
A poem.
Got let off easy.
Okay, let me think for a second. This is a poem about Zach. He sometimes gives me a heart attack. He thinks he is great, unless I am late. And then he smells like poop.
Almost stuck the landing.
Yeah.
All right. I guess I got 45 seconds now.
Did you not do your 30?
There was never an opportunity.
Okay, fine. But since I've got you extra ones with you.
We're only drinking 4 noses as a kindness to them.
I'll get you a backup because I think you can chug a beer in more than 45 seconds.
I'm not drinking more than this beer.
Okay, fine. I will set the timer for 45 seconds.
Did you ever do that first shot?
No.
We drank out of the communal jug.
The communal marg.
She was going to throw me under the bus even though she lost the exact same thing and paid the same penalty.
Yeah. Yeah. Go.
Do you want to ask the Stay Salty question? Well,
Yes. This is our Stay Salty question presented by LMNT. User URL. It's a
Element.
mouthful. You just drink your drink.
I'm trying to satisfy our sponsor obligations here.
This is the Stay Salty question presented by Element. Use our URL drinklmnt.com/trek. Jess, what is your hottest take?
For a free sample pack with any order.
For the free sample pack with any order. Jess, what is your hottest take in the world of backpacking or the outdoors at large?
Ooh, I think right now, that folks on trail tend to take themselves too seriously. I think a lot of us are carrying all the same gear. I want to see more personality on trail.
In what ways can someone take themselves less seriously?
I don't know, wear a silly hat, carry around a little stuffed animal in your backpack. You sacrifice a couple of ounces to carry around a little stuffed panda. Shout out Gadget. I don't know, just, don't wear all the same stuff, all the same gear. Wear some funky colors. Town Shirt has some cool stuff. Not sponsored. Yeah, just have more fun.
To echo your previous statement about a lot of people on trail are wearing the same stuff, what garb do you think screams basic bitch for thru-hikers?
Ooh.
You can't say gossamer gear.
And I'm not.
I think you can.
Okay, yeah, you can.
I'm definitely not going to.
But if you wanted to, you could. Let the listener know.
Yeah.
Okay, I could say it if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, I don't know if there's anything that really shouts basic bitch to me on trail. I don't know. I guess I don't know. What do you think?
One piece of gear that says sheep.
It's a sheep.
Yeah, what are you going to pick?
I don't know. I think
Chaunce is trying to make you alienate the user on your first podcast.
let it be known. I do think it's a great tent, so let me start there. But I think that a Z-Plex tent, I see it all over the place. Same tent. And
Yeah, the Z-Packs.
Yeah, I wear a
Z-Packs.
duplex sometimes.
Yeah.
Sheep behavior.
Say they Googled ultralight tent and they bought it.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it.
Okay, cool. Well,
I'm going to give this is both an answer to the question and a shout out
are you going to say
to
what
both brands.
piece of gear makes you think sheep?
Well, because so when we hiked the PCT, I felt like there was a lot of short shorts and like button-up shirts. I felt like that was the soup du jour. Now I see both Jolly and Town shirts everywhere. And like when we go to trail days, it's never more apparent that like that's the thru-hiker uniform. What?
Well, remember how Jolly wanted to do a shirt with us and we had to think of what a good BPR one would be?
Yeah.
What if we do a sheep pattern and we don't tell anyone why? And they have to have listened
They
this
just follow
far.
along, or lemming.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm not throwing shade at all. I think both their products are awesome. It's
Yes.
just funny like how the trends evolve. And,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
that is definitely the thru-hiker uniform nowadays is like the chicken leg shorts and the Jolly or Town shirt top.
Yeah, long gone are
Great
the
products. I like them both very much.
long gone are the cotton Hawaiians.
Yeah.
It's very late 10s.
Yeah. But as a skin cancer survivor, I'm very happy that people are taking sun protection seriously. So shout out to all y'all that are doing that.
Cool. Did I do good?
You did great.
Thank you.
Also, I finished my beer. I did good too.
I saw that.
Again, I know they gave this to us for free, but legitimately, this Four Noses Mountain Wave is my favorite beer right now. It is very good. And I think the last time we had it on the podcast, we had paid for it. That's how you know.
Yeah.
Do you guys need a potty break, or should we jump right into some Trek propaganda?
I would love a potty break.
Okay.
Someone who's
Jess and I can
angry.
shoot the shit while you go. I don't want to hit the record
Okay.
button to make it easier.
Okay, fine, talk about it.
Jess, how was the AT?
Ooh, how was it in general
Yeah.
the last 6 months?
Yeah.
It wasn't the last 6 months, but it was great. Had a blast. Spent all my money. Didn't send any emails.
Did you have a specific budget in mind for the trail?
Yeah. Can I just say a number? Is that fine?
You don't have to disclose. I was just gonna say, like, did you spend more or less than you were expecting and or budgeted for?
Oh, I definitely spent way more than I was expecting. But I
Yeah.
also took plenty of zeros.
Okay.
Folks I was hiking with, we loved a zero.
Yeah,
So we would post up in town for a few days, and
that was fast.
They're cleaning the bathroom and the basement door is locked.
oh shoot,
So
You go
now
in the
my
sink.
yeah. Does it designate a corner?
doesn't work the same
you
as
mean?
it does for you.
Um,
Imagine you saw me on the sink. I'd make eye contact the whole time.
I would
Let
shut
it be
the
known.
door. Okay, well, that's a brief catch up. We'll save the rest of it because, like I said, we're gonna have you on. For
No,
a
you
full
can tell me
episode.
too.
we were just talking about how much we like you.
Yeah,
That
I
was the
bet.
whole.
Yeah.
That was,
What? Name one nice compliment Zach gave me.
She
it was
perches
Jess's
like a
turn.
bird. Really good.
Thanks.
She can sit on nothing.
Man, that girl sits.
Okay, to the Trek propaganda portion of today's show. I'm going to skip the first news item because news changes so quickly that I'm sure it'll be the exact opposite by the time that this comes out. So
Yay, news.
fill in the blanks with whatever you think that is and know that it's 180 degrees different from the time that we recorded this. Actually, I'll just go straight to Jess's portion here. We have an amazing article from Katie Jackson who does great work, but I want to save the red carpet for Trek Propaganda for some of the great work that Jess has been doing as our community and marketing manager.
Awesome. Yeah, so just to reiterate, I work with a lot of the bloggers at the Trek. I've had an amazing time, especially since coming off of trail. It's been a real pleasure to talk with folks who are hiking this year and live vicariously through them in their adventures. So I just want to give a quick shout out to some of our bloggers. First up, a big shout out to Steve Hochwater. He's been hiking the ECT, and as of recording this episode just a few days back, he finally reached the southern terminus of the AT, Springer Mountain. That is quite a start from the Florida Keys. So we sent him a mail drop as a congratulations. We filled it with all sorts of Trek goodies and probably more snacks than he needed. So big shout out to Steve. I also want to give a quick shout out to Go. That is Elena. They've been hiking the AT and have been posting on the Trek very often. They got sick a few days back. Really hope you're feeling better, To Go. Third shout out to Aquaman and Glam Girl. Glam Girl's been posting very often on the trek, and her dad have been all over social media having all sorts of fun, so shout out to you two. And a final shout out to Emilio, who's through hiking the PCT. Great photos, great reflections in all of his blogs, so go check them out.
Hell yeah. What's it been like as the community manager? I'll segment the parts of your job here. Has it lived up to what you were expecting in terms of like just interacting with most of the people who are blogging for us are first time thru hikers? Has that been kind of what you were anticipating?
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, it's been amazing. I feel like I'm channeling a lot of that excitement that I had prior to my big thru hike, and I get to see folks writing about the days leading up to them leaving for trail and rooting for them, and then finally seeing them step on trail. I feel like I'm hiking right along with them and cheering for them. So it's been a real privilege, and honestly, way more exciting than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be the least exciting part of the job.
Yeah. And we've teased this a lot in the reminder section in past episodes, but one of the big perks for this year is we're going to fly out one of the Trek bloggers to join us at the end of the year for an interview here on the show. So if you are a Trek blogger, just be sure to kiss Jess's ass, because I'll definitely be leaning on her heavily, because no one's more consumed in the Trek's content than Jess. She reads, we'll say, almost every post at this point. It's fire hose mode.
Absolutely.
We're getting a lot of content through the website, but no one's more plugged into what's happening at the Trek than Jess. So.
And I do accept bribes.
Yeah, that's right.
I do think it is amazing that as much crap as you give me, you are awarding your top Trek blogger with the ability to come meet me in person. I mean, you don't need to like directly compliment me, but I get it. I hear you.
Yeah, you get a date night out with Chaunce.
I'll expense it.
But yeah, that's part of the deal. So
they come for a podcast.
Yeah.
Nothing I'm saying is wrong.
At a date night. Guy or girl, doesn't matter.
Okay. Are we calling these date nights?
Yeah, kind of.
Cool. Well, I'm glad to be on a date with you both. Mainly Jess, but...
Oh, stop.
Okay. I like that you suggested this one because I have thoughts. Question of the day. Does the silverware go up or down in the dishwasher?
Yeah. I find this to be a very important one. I also think it only works if everyone in the household is in agreement. Because if some of you feel one way and some of you feel another way, I hate the whole thing. You can't have half down and half up. That's wrong. There's no world where it's right. I think they go heads down. And I'm very adamant on that. I know a lot of people who do heads up, and I think they're all wrong. Because if it's heads down, most of the food on your silverware is on the part that's touching the food, right? The knife cuts, the handle doesn't. The forks, the handle doesn't. That's where the food is, not where the hand is, where the top is. And you want to put that down because you want the water to wash down and take it away. You don't want to wash the dirty stuff down the rest of the piece. That doesn't make any sense. And furthermore, my closing argument, my most important fact, is that when you take the dishes out of the dishwasher, I don't want your hands touching my clean silverware, whoever the you in this scenario is. Silverware is supposed to go back in clean, and then you take it out and you eat with it and you know that it's clean. But if someone's hands are going through everything and grabbing a handful of silverware by the parts that touch my mouth, is that clean anymore? I don't know, right? Like, you just touched it all with your hands. You're not walking around a dinner table and touching the tips of everyone's forks before they serve dinner. So I think I'm very firmly tops down, because when you grab it out and put it away, you grab it from the handle and you put it in the drawer and you don't touch the part that touches the food.
In a rare instance here, I actually agree with you.
What?
My reason is slightly different, though. I think it's actually very conceivable where I think it probably is more clean with the heads up, because when it's down, the water is blocked by whatever casing that it's sitting in.
Okay, I would humor that.
However, just from the aspect of putting it away, if you've got like steak knives and shit like that and you're reaching to grab
that
it,
makes
put it
no
away,
fucking sense.
yeah, like give me the handle. I feel like I'm playing Russian roulette every time I reach in there to pull stuff out of there.
Yeah, or
if there's
you're
anything remotely sharp, your hand's gonna get cut.
Well, are you like inefficiently putting things away where you're going around the sharp knives like this and you're just like barely touching the piece of the handle that sticks up and you're taking them one at a time. No.
Yeah, I want all of the dishes in my 2 meaty paws, and I
Right.
can sort as I go. Like, yeah, having to like segment based on what is sticking out is really gets my goat.
Do you
And-
pick up a chainsaw by the saw or by the handle?
Exactly. Yeah.
Fucking simple.
Case closed on that one.
Yeah, done.
Just
Do you have
no
an
room for a
opinion?
disagreement.
You're only allowed to agree.
Would it make for better television if I
Yeah.
agreed with you?
It would make
Yeah.
for better
Especially-
television
yes.
if you just are honest.
All right. Well, here's the honesty. I am food side up.
What?
I am. Okay, so hear me out.
Psychopath. Fire her.
They're
Fire her.
So they're my forks. I eat with them, and I'm not grabbing my forks with my grimy little
Grubby
paws.
little hands.
Yeah, no, my hands are clean, but I'm reaching for my dishware.
Yeah, but Andy has to eat.
I'm
What if
never
you're-
having
care.
dinner at Jess's. Not even if she invites me.
Well, you can use plastic forks.
Yeah. No, she
only
comes,
the
but she
best.
brings her own silverware.
Yeah.
Well, they're dirty. All the food's on the top of it, and if it's sticking up, because otherwise you're just trapping all the food in the little canister, like the bottom of the. Where
See,
all
that
the
part
cups
makes
go.
sense to me, but I'm
Yeah.
more about the efficiency of getting it put away.
That part doesn't make sense to me because someone was paid to engineer these catch-all trays that you put silverware in, and they must have done a good enough job that no one has thought to change it over the years. It looks exactly the same now as it did in the dishwasher that came in my house that was built in the 80s. And because of that, I'd like to think that whoever figured it out so well that there's no room for innovation left.
They probably assumed they were doing it right and putting them all food side up.
In this competitive world, not one person has made a better design that has caught traction if it was truly so bad.
Do you want to fight?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's fight.
Let's do it.
I'm trying to picture the tray that holds the silverware because I think now maybe there is a little bit of a gap at the bottom.
Yeah, it's a
that
mesh
would-
bottom. It's not
Well,
solid.
A
Not-
mesh bottom.
It's mesh bottom, mesh sides.
But I'm saying like even
Like not like actual plasticky
Oh, I
mesh
was gonna say,
looking.
what fancy
Yeah.
dishwasher?
Sorry,
it
yeah.
looks more like a fence. I'd
Yeah.
say like a fence type of.
Chain link fence.
But I think even at the very bottom, the gap is even larger, which might allow the food to pass through once it's washed. But even all that shit aside, I'd rather deal with a couple of dirty pieces of silverware if it speeds up the process of putting it away, because I just want to grab everything by the handle and get going.
2 questions. 1, have you ever found clumps of food at the bottom of your silverware catch-all?
Every piece of dishware in the dishwasher has been sullied at some point after a wash, which is probably more.
Sorry, was that a yes or a no?
Yes, I've had dirty silverware.
No,
100%.
not the silverware being dirty, but have you
The
ever
tray?
found physical food in the tray?
No, I feel like if it's gonna come off of the silverware, it's gonna get rinsed away.
Right, so your point's invalid. And then the
Suck
second
it.
one, yeah, suck it. And then the second one, I've forgotten.
Yeah,
Cool.
Okay. If you're a dishwasher technician, can you please get in the
I'm
comment
sure
section?
there is a correct answer.
I think, you know what I think the ultimate win would be is if we could put them in butts down, heads up, and then in the wash cycle, it flips them. So that they come out, butts up, heads down. Ass up, head, what did it say, face down, ass up?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's the way I
That's
like
how I want them to come out.
to wash my silverware.
But I want them to go in like a lady.
Yeah, good. Settled, sort of. Let's do the triple crown of good horse names. Whose is this?
I don't know.
We'll give credit to Rachel. Happy 3 years with your good horse names.
I can't believe it's only 3. What did we do before she was around?
Yeah, no.
5 years without her?
Elise was our organizational system, wasn't she?
Yeah, for a time, Elise was everything.
But I think I was also doing a lot of the stuff that Rachel's doing now.
You're a
And
hero.
I could literally, no, I couldn't imagine going back to doing a lot of that stuff. I
Yeah.
think the podcast would just fail because
Yeah.
I can't. It's like once you get like a dishwasher, you can't go back to washing dishes by hand.
No, it's peasant work.
Yeah, exactly. Like having to listen to the podcast and do timestamps. I'd rather you guys could just figure it out.
If Rachel leaves, I'm leaving too.
Yeah, same. It's done. Just
That's
you get
it.
the podcast. If
Oh, you know what?
Rachel
That'd
leaves.
actually be great because then it's not our fault.
It's
It could be
Rachel's
Rachel's fault.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
She fired us.
So now we know when Backpacker Radio will end.
Yeah, exactly.
Happy 3 years, Rachel.
But yeah, triple crown of good horse names. This is going to be very silly.
Yes.
I'll start. This is one that I've had earmarked as a band name. If I ever was going to start a band, I would use this as the Vicious Giblets. It's just fun to say.
Yeah.
And think about.
Okay.
So if I'm rich enough to ever own a horse.
What part of your body is the giblet?
I think the giblet has something to do with the neck. It's usually referred in a turkey sense. Let's see.
Is it like chicken livers? That's my guess.
The liver. Yeah, it's the organs.
Wow. Jess knows her giblets.
Poultry
They
trivia,
call her
baby.
Giblet Jess.
They don't call me that.
They don't call her old giblets for nothing.
Jesse Giblets. Let's go.
Jesse Jibs.
The liver, heart, gizzard, and neck of a chicken or other fowl.
Do you have a trail name?
Sassafras.
Do you like it better than giblets?
No.
Because I'm sensing a rebrand.
Yeah, Jesse Jibs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, Jibby, Jesse, they sound the same.
Yeah, right. All right, who's next?
I'll do mine. Mine are all from the internet. These are actual horse names. And what's really fun about these is if I click to expand on the little down arrow, it only gives me part of an article title and not the rest.
Okay.
So my first one is Two in the Pink. This is a real name of a horse.
That's good.
And when you click the expansion, it says, be sure not to Google this one. You may be in for a surprise. Despite being a phrase championed by comedian Jimmy Carr, the name has also ...
Oh, Jimmy Carr coined that? That's amazing.
Yeah, it mentions it in numerous articles. A very funny horse race name. And pretty rude, too, as a phrase championed by comedian Jimmy Carr. This Ralph Smith trained horse won at ... So I don't actually know what it's called, but I know it's a winner.
It's everyone's knee-jerk response is to finish the phrase. I'm sure everyone listening to that wanted to end.
Go on, say it.
I won't.
Say it. Say it.
I want the listener to
say it or
in
spin
their
the
own
wheel. Say it or spin the wheel.
If you spin the wheel, I'll spin the wheel.
I'll say it.
Say it.
You have to spin the wheel and then I'll say it.
I mean, in the stink. Yeah, it's just spin.
No. It's Friday. What does it say?
That's a shot.
That's a shot.
Yeah. So community.
We've landed on that 3 times. This
Yeah.
thing's weighted.
It's mostly water at this point.
No, the wheel is weighted.
No, I know, but that is mostly water at this point.
Yeah, it is.
Horse name. I Googled 20 worst horse names. That's what I'm talking about.
I like that.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I love horse names. It's the best part about going to the track.
How often do you go to the track?
Grew up next to, so it's where the Bears are allegedly going to be buying or playing football moving forward is, oh shit.
Well, you look it up. Imagine bear racing, because you're talking about the bears going to the track. Imagine instead of horse races.
Bear races.
Bear races.
I'm in.
Racing bear names.
Ooh.
Yeah. Triple crown of race bear names.
First
Arlington
off,
Park.
I'm investing, so let's start there.
It was the Arlington racetrack was
yes.
right on the train line that went from Woodstock to Chicago, so it was directly on the way. And the racetrack there was beautiful and immaculate, and it was my first introduction to degenerate gambling, and it's so fun. And like immediately,
It was so fun.
I was drawn to the horse names. They're always so spirited.
Okay. Whose turn is it?
Just gets another one. She's at the turn.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Keith.
Love.
Not a good name for a horse.
Love.
Yeah. Not a good name for a human.
Yeah.
If you're Keith, stop listening.
Yeah, fuck you, Keith.
You know what? Paris, who I gave that story about in the 100-Mile Wilderness, his real name's Keith.
Yeah. I knew a
Cringe.
guy in high school.
Fuck you, Keith.
He was a good guy, but also for the sake of the segment, fuck you.
Yeah. Couldn't be me.
Okay, cool. My next one. This one I'm gonna choose not because I think it's great, but because I don't understand it, and I'm hoping you guys can help me. This one is titled "Wear the Fox Hat," and it says, "Read this name aloud in a Scottish or Irish accent, and you'll be rolling on the floor."
Say it again.
Where the fox at? Where the fox at? Where the fox at? What is it? I can hear that it's supposed to say fuck, but where the fox at? Where the fox? What part am I rolling on the floor laughing?
You're on your own for this one.
Well, you read it in a Scottish or Irish accent.
I don't do accents, but
Please.
where
the fox at? Say it quickly. Where the fox at? Where the fox at? Where the fox at?
oh, I hear it now. Fuck. Yeah,
Like,
just say fuck.
No, but it's supposed to be where the fuck's at.
or where the fuck's that?
It's not funny.
Like
Yeah.
where are the fucks at? Maybe
But these horse
somebody-
people keep thinking it's like one of the top 12 funniest names. I don't know what they're laughing at.
Who are they asking?
They're not asking anyone. They're just telling you to say it in an accent. Oh, who are they asking? Probably horse people.
Mm.
Probably got,
Or
like, a
horses.
survey on a barn somewhere.
Humor is very subjective.
Yeah.
Mind of Menzie was a popular show.
Anyway, that's one of mine because I thought it would be funny when I said it in an accent, but I still don't get it. So, anyway, Zach?
My next one. So Jess was going through a list of, was it bad horse names, funny horse names?
Something like that.
He's pulled up a couple, and one of them, I apologize if you're going to use this, but you said Barack Obama. That's not mine, but it jogged my memory that just like using a random politician would be funny.
Oh,
So-
is there no pun? It's just literally Barack Obama?
Yeah.
That's funny.
So I would name a horse Bob Dole.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Just a forgotten name from my childhood.
Not a forgotten name. Garrett's dad was Secretary of the Senate for Bob Dole.
See, everyone's
Yeah,
got
he's a
that.
big name in my life.
Yeah.
Actually-
war hero, good guy.
There's, God, I can't say this on the podcast. I
Those
might
are the
want to
best
clip
things to
this
say
at
on
some
the
point.
podcast.
But at Bob Dole's funeral, which was actually a fairly recent thing, Ted Cruz didn't wear a mask. Do you remember that photo that like circulated widely around the internet of Ted Cruz at the funeral without a mask on?
No.
Um,
Something political that happened in COVID is like a million years ago. Okay.
those are Garrett's parents.
I remember you. Yeah, I remember you saying that. Garrett's dad looks like Tim Kaine, by the way.
I don't know people's faces well enough to know the answer to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bob Dole. I know that
the
name.
profile of that image looks very much like Tim Kaine.
Anyway, that's our segment on politics.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed.
My last one is incredibly silly. I'm gonna go with Jean-Claude Van Damme. I'm fast.
You love bringing Jean-Claude Van Damme into things. You wanted to make a segment around him.
No, I wanted. It was part of my patent pending. Was I wanted to make a food truck
John
called
Dam's Van Clams.
Jean-Claude's Van Clams.
Yeah.
Where you sell clams out of a van.
Yeah.
That's just good. That's just good business material.
Glad
right
you
there.
remember that too.
Yeah.
I don't know why it holds space
By
in
the
my
way,
head.
Yeah,
but
that was from like episode 7.
I don't know why.
The fact, like,
Because you know a good idea when you hear it.
No, but I also don't retain so much information.
if we asked Chaunce who the last person that we interviewed was, can you say it?
Well, no, but that was like when I know who it is because you said it when we said something about the chairs. And you're like, that was when so-and-so was here. And I go, uh-huh.
Okay, how about the person before Tate?
Now you want me to go in order?
Yeah, just like,
Justin? Maytal.
no. I don't think so.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do think so.
Was it Maytal before
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Tate?
Yeah, eat shit.
Shit.
Spin the wheel.
Cool. Let me verify that before
It's right because I already confirmed the social clips with Sarah. Got my finger on the pulse.
Oof.
This is weighted for the record.
That's the same one. This is weighted.
It was a shot, by the way.
Spin it again just to see.
If it's a shot, I'll do it. If it's anything else, you have to do it.
That's not fair. You already spun it. Oh, no, this one you have to do. I wrote it.
Eat an ice cube. I'm just surprised I could read it.
Yeah, eat an ice cube.
That was not my handwriting.
No, it's mine.
Oh, okay.
And it says full cube. I want you to stick a full ice cube in your mouth and wait for it to dissolve.
Is that good entertainment?
For us, yes. For you, no.
Okay, well, that is technically a drink. It is. No, I'm saying you're the drink bitch.
You want me to get you an ice cube?
Yeah.
An ice cube is
I'll
not a
plop it in
drink.
your mouth.
Hold on.
That's question of the day.
No, sit back down, Chaunce. Don't let him walk over you like this.
Although that was bad timing because I think she's next for good horse names.
Mm-hmm. It's okay. I can go in the meantime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Soup and sandwich.
These are all wet.
Is it one horse or two?
Did someone refill this after we used 2?
Yeah, I
No.
refilled it, not thinking that eating a full ice cube was going to be.
Whoa!
Jeez. Chaunce is unhinged right now. We're gonna have to.
She'll put forks down in the dishwasher, but stick her little fingers in all the ice cubes.
Yeah, she just
Ma'am.
blasted each one of those ice cubes.
Yeah. Say the full sentence. Hell on my finger blast.
Whoa, that wasn't what I was trying to imply.
Well, it was with my finger,
I
and you
understand.
said I blasted them. And they're none of them. You can't eat it. Fine. Spin again.
I have to spin again?
Yeah. You weren't eating any of my blasted cubes.
There we go.
Confess a backpacking sin. This is going to be hard, given that we're over 300 episodes, and I'm sure even in this episode I've talked about shaving my pubes, so it's going to be hard to find something fresh that's a sin that I haven't said. Give your last horse name, and I'll think on something.
Usain Colt.
Mm,
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I like that.
No further comment.
An actual horse pun. I like that it took to the last pick of the draft to get a real horse pun into the mix.
Yeah.
It's a toughie. Zach's perfect.
Yeah, Zach's never done anything wrong on trail.
No, I'm trying to think of something that I haven't said on the podcast.
He's being modest for the brand.
That's right. Yeah, I'm so perfect and good.
You can always take a shot.
No, he can't. Don't give him that out. He's not actually doing a shot. He's just having a sip of the communal chalice.
Well, so the time that I forgot my socks on the AT, and we had cat food, Fancy Feast on, because she was the person who tracked it down. I will
Colorado Trail, not the AT.
Did I say AT?
You did.
Colorado Trail. That is a byproduct of my ADHD, is I have a tendency to just forget things. Jess has been privy to this. When I try to leave the office, it takes me 11 attempts to I forgot my keys. Oh, I forgot my jacket. Oh, I forgot my backpack. I have a real problem keeping everything in order, which translates on trail. So I'm sure that I've left many things on trail before, which is part of the reason why I advocate for picking up other stuff on trail is positive karma, because no one's perfect, and especially not me.
Yeah, I had to pull a 000 at Hiker Haven because I accidentally left my leggings on a stump on the PCT. And I really wanted them. I had to wait for a new pair to come in.
Too.
That wasn't the sin I would have confessed. You'll have to wait till I spin the wheel. I've got worse.
Oh, sin. Or no, it's a shot. Sin.
No thanks. Here's a fun aside.
By the way, that's a keeper. Good job with that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Happy to help.
Tate just messaged us. Do you know when the BPR episode I did is going to come out? I admitted to a prank I've been pulling on my friend for months, so I want to make sure all my jokes are wrapped up before he can find out it was me. Just got that DM.
As a post-mortem on that episode, it was fun to get clarification that I destroyed the fun of his vampire experiment through his trek vlogs. I made the mistake. Were you there for that part?
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. I told him that I enjoyed it, and that just murdered all of the fun associated with it.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have done that.
Can you just continue to be the other while we all are in on the jokes?
Yeah.
Cool. Any other horse names?
I think that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Honorable mentions? Harry Trotter, Passing Wind.
Are these ChatGPT?
No, these are Google.
Okay.
50 Shades of Hey. Bodacious Tatas. Do re mi fa sol la ti do. Okay, I guess it's just me there.
What would you name your horse?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Something cute. Sparkles.
Oh, it's so cute.
Have you ever had a horse? I feel like with your dad and farmland, it just feels like it's a natural fit.
My grandpa had 3 horses. They were Flag and Blondie and Trixie. And they used to pull us on a sleigh through the woods in the snow, and it was very magical. And one time, they were all really well-trained show horses, so they won competitions for their showmanship, whatever you call it for horses. And one time my grandpa had trained Blondie to jump. He would do an impressive jump over a thing every time a command was said. So he won a lot of jumping contests. And he submitted a video to America's Funniest Home Videos when it was like VCR days, where he kept trying to put a saddle on Blondie, and Blondie kept jumping over this retaining wall every time he went to put the saddle on, and he'd keep falling over. And the whole thing was scripted because him and Blondie were just doing the command. But they put it on TV.
Oh, did he win like the monetary prize?
No, but it was on the show.
My parents submitted America's Funniest Home Video of my dad playing catch with my sister. I don't know if it was baseball or softball. But my dad kept throwing it to my sister, and her hand-eye coordination was bad enough that like twice in a row the ball hit her in the face. And they got a letter back from America's Funniest Home Videos saying that it was too cruel to put on television.
That's funny.
That's really funny.
Which is saying a lot because the entire show is just cruel videos.
Right.
So, yeah.
Do you think like our younger listeners know America's Funniest Home Videos? Or
So
is this just like YouTube?
it is still on the streaming platforms, and now it's Carlton who hosts it.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah, we were just trying to find something interesting to put on for Leo the other day, and we dug up America's Funniest Home
So you
Videos.
showed him videos of people getting hit in the face with baseballs?
It's people just getting hit in the nuts and like dogs doing funny things. And honestly, it was too entertaining. Like he had trouble falling asleep because he was so amped up about it.
You gotta show him Jackass next.
That's literally what I was gonna say. Is that's the gateway drug to Jackass, 100%.
Which is a gateway drug to him like doing insane shit with the swing set in the backyard.
I'm not worried about him with that. He's like Jenna and I. He's very cautious.
No, I'm very cautious, and me and my neighbors played Jackass as a kid, and I didn't want to do it, but I would be damned if I was told that I was the lame one.
But I've learned that there's levels to this because the twins are certified evil Knievils. Like they spend their entire life trying to kill themselves.
They'll rope him in.
Yeah.
And we were lighting shit on fire at a very young age. I've got a burn mark on my leg because they lit caps guns, which were those guns that shot off little cap smokes, on fire. They lit one of the rings of them, and then it got hot, and they threw it, and it stuck to my leg and melted.
Ooh.
I was incredibly young.
Yeah.
I was so young that I got caught because my mom saw it when I was in the bath. So they'll do dumb shit.
I'm sure he'll get there, but Jenna to this day still can't do like real roller coasters. She can do like the entry level stuff at Disney, but anything beyond that is too intense for her. Leo has a lot of that in him. The twins are going to be straight up Johnny Knoxvilles for sure. So
Hell yeah.
we'll figure it out. I do have a quick impromptu thing of the week.
Okay, but first mine.
Yeah.
This is what's your racehorse name? It's the first letter of your first name and the first letter of your last name. So Zach's horse name.
First letter of your first name.
I
And
want to find a different one because I've been told not to say that word. Your first name is Z. No, the last letter of your first name is. Last letter of your first name is H, so you'd be Wayward. And the last letter of your last name is S. So you're Wayward Quest.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm Lucky. No, I'm Runaway
What's the word that you can't say?
Prissy.
You can't say it?
Well, I said.
I'm sure there's validity to why you can't say that. That wasn't on my radar.
I think I said Sissy on an. Well, it was Sissy, not Prissy, but I said that on an episode, and we had a lovely gay man from the 70s who sent me an Instagram DM about why that word hurt for him to hear, and I fully agree. I will never, apart from this educational purpose, use it in a way to describe a weak person again. But my racehorse name is Runaway Angel. Wow. I accept. Okay, Jess, what's your last name?
Stone.
Do you want me to go by Jessica or do you want me to go by Jess?
Oh. Jessica. My government name.
Okay, well then you're also a runaway.
Mm.
But you are a runaway. You're also a Stone. E. Runaway Terror.
Oh.
Got your runaway angel and your runaway terror.
A little scary.
Scary. Okay, cool. Anyway, you were saying?
Thing of the week. This came to me. So this is somewhat full circle because we're talking about the Oreos being gone. Did we mention that on podcast or was that before we
No,
started
you
recording?
mentioned that we'd circle back to it and I wanted to hear it. I'm going to pee my pants.
Okay, go. Oh, let me finish the story that you
Yeah,
gave me.
tell the story first because I want to hear it.
It'll be quick because Jess sent me a Slack message saying that she ate 2 of the Oreos, which was a reminder to me that we still had Oreos. They were sitting beneath something, so they were out of sight, out of mind for me. So I went weeks without having any just because I forgot they were here. that was the reminder that they were here. So immediately I eat the rest of them.
Classic.
And then that was the thing that I did before I went to the gym. But I had one like managerial task that I had to take care of, which was sending we just got a new 401k provider. It's very boring, but it's relevant to the story because I had to send the check from the previous 401k provider to the new provider. The rollover check. And the thing that I'd done right before that was eat Oreos. So with sealing the envelope, I'm licking the envelope and I'm just seeing a trail of Oreo crumbs across.
Foul.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, I left literally a speckling of black cookie crumbs across the back of a 401k envelope.
Did you get a new envelope?
No.
I was literally in the process of sealing
You know
it.
him by now.
That's horrendous.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can at least have solace in knowing that maybe we'll open it with a letter opener or a mechanical one where they're
I'm
not
sure they've got
removing
something
it by
mechanical.
the seal.
And I will say, for people who order stickers and stuff from the website, I almost never lick because usually I'm doing bulk orders. So I have like a little like liquid application tool that I use. But since it was one letter and I was on a time crunch, I just went with the fastest thing possible, which was my tongue, which is also riddled with Oreo crumbs.
I like to think that the person who opened it gave it a little sniff and maybe like a little taste test just to see what's up.
I like to think that too, Jess.
Looks like Oreos.
Yeah, maybe I got to pass down the Oreo treat to somebody in need.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the circle of life, baby.
That is the circle of life. I'm going to go through, this is funny. We have all of the segments that we've ever done on the podcast in our show notes, which we usually just bypass. I'm going to pick one, and you're going to have to do it on the spot.
Oh.
I like this. Patent pending. So this is a very off-the-wall business idea that you've had. Something typically impractical that would actually be a terrible business, but something that like you've thought to yourself, be like, you know what? I should do this. Do you have a patent pending?
Oh, buddy, do I. It's called shoes. Shoe juice. It's when you're in the airport and you need something to hold your orange juice. You just pop it right in your shoe.
What?
Shoe juice. Now taking investors.
Are you talking about like when you're putting your shoes through the security conveyor?
I'm talking you're on an 8-hour layover. You just got orange juice from the McDonald's and you don't have a shoe to hold your orange juice. The floor won't do it.
Like a sidecar on your shoe that you just put the juice. Are you saying you take
I'm
the shoe?
talking about
out?
a whole separate shoe.
Okay.
So you have to take your shoe off. Just
Why a shoe?
shoes. What are you not getting?
Yeah, no, I think I get it now.
Yeah, pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah. While you were away, I went through the list of RIP segments and just randomly picked one and just had shoe juice on the helm ready to go.
Oh. Which segment?
Patent pending.
Got it. Cool. That's exciting.
Yeah. Mailbag.
Hey, I don't know if this is how you submit listener questions, but here you go. People say all the time, guys lose their upper body muscles on thru hikes. Aside from proper nutrition, what are some good ways to maintain upper body fitness on thru hikes? From Jake. Hey, Jake, thanks for writing. I also have my reply in red. Thank you, Rachel. This is a tip that I will give that Zach does, which is sometimes when we've hiked together in the past he has been faster than me, which is all times, I have rounded a corner to find him doing push-ups by the meeting spot. And his reason has been, can't forget about arms. So
I actually think you caught me doing pull-ups, if we're being totally fair.
no, I know where we were. It was a divot we had to walk up the last bit to where the road was. And so you were in the dip. And on the dip, there's a flat area for camping right before the turn. And you were right there
I thought
doing
it was
push-ups.
a tree branch that was
No,
Okay.
that was a different time.
Okay.
This was on one of their AT bits. You were doing push-ups, like how a lizard does. You know when you see the lizards doing it?
Yeah.
And it was, the trail turned left, and it went up, and then it met the road, and you could see the lip of the road area above us, but there was like that lower camping area to the right when I was walking towards you. And I remember thinking, what is he doing? And then I was like, dear God, he is trying to shove in my face that I am slow, because not only did he get here faster, but he's doing push-ups to show me how well rested he is. But all I said was, are you doing push-ups?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not a sexy answer. But the real answer to the question is, like, maintaining upper body bulk is to have the proper genetics for it, because like Jabba ended the PCT with bigger biceps than I've ever had, and he didn't do a single thing the entire trip. Like,
yeah, but you can't say proper genetics when you've been caught red-handed doing push-ups and self-admittedly pull-ups.
So tip number 1 is pick parents that are muscular, because you'll just be muscular probably no matter what, or with minimal effort. I'm not diminishing. Jabba works out a lot, but I've never seen him do anything like that on trail. But yeah, for a long distance backpacking trip, I do try to be actually mindful about not just ending it with strong legs and then having T-Rex upper body. I will mix in push-ups and pull-ups into the mix, because I will say really getting after it with trekking poles makes a big difference. Like, activating your arms on subtle climbs is a very good tricep workout, and people that go sans trekking poles, which I don't feel like there's many in the thru-hiking world, but I know before I got into thru-hiking, I didn't really understand the application of trekking poles. Trekking poles help a lot, and you have to actually go through and use them to fully understand it. But if you are using them properly, you can really activate your arms, especially triceps, when you're climbing with trekking poles. But yeah, for like a 5-month trip, you'll have to actually carve out time to do something upper body related, because it's not ideal.
Once you are like super bored on trail, like once fun things stop being fun and you're just in that level of it, you can pass a solid 0.1 miles of time by focusing on pulling with your arms with the trekking poles on an uphill rather than using your legs. And if you really put your mind into it and you focus on pull, don't push, you could occupy yourself for easily 0.1 before you start to get bored and want to get to the top.
And there's also good science to support that wherever you direct your mind in terms of activating muscles, you will actually generate more hypertrophy, muscle growth, by doing that. So like bodybuilders, when they're doing specific isolation workouts, they're thinking about the muscle when they're working out. So like when you're talking about climbing uphill, like really thinking about your arms climbing uphill, the science says that actually will go a long ways to building muscle.
Have you done it?
Not for that specific reason, but like at the gym, yeah. Certainly.
Have you ever named your muscles or like named your arms and been like, come on, Ralph,
like,
one more?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just wondering.
Sounds like you do.
No. But I named my friend's big toe Ralph the other day.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was there something that precipitated that?
Alcohol, and I was holding on to it and I wouldn't let go.
Yeah. Typical Ralph stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing is you also mentioned proper nutrition. I think that's something to easily bypass in terms of the importance of like just getting enough protein on trail.
Yeah.
Or in any facet of life.
But genetics are a thing, because when I did the PCT, it was me and 4 or 5 guys, and they were all scrawny as hell by the end of it, but ball flap was like absolutely jacked on the upper half. And I know I've spent most of the day around this guy. Like I didn't walk up on him doing push-ups.
Yeah.
And we all made fun of him because we were like, what the fuck, dude? Like, are you waking up earlier than everyone else and like doing a workout and like lying about it?
Yeah.
So he became the butt of a lot of our jokes, but it was because he like for some reason maintained arms.
Genetics is most of it.
Yeah.
Pick the right great-great-grandparents and you'll maintain upper body strength for sure. 5-star review. This is from Russo-C. Great topics and stories. Love this podcast. I just started listening, but it's my go-to. Did you laugh or sneeze?
I said,
the banter between host and interviewee make it feel like a Friday night hangout rather than a podcast, and the topics and stories shared really resonate with me and my interests. Even the ads and sponsors are outdoorsy related and right up my alley. The length of each podcast, multiple hours, helps the workday go by so much quicker. Give it a listen. Thank you to Russo-C. We take pride in having good advertisers.
I haven't yet opened this message, but we have a message about how insane our listeners are. Honestly, y'all's listeners are awesome, and I loved the feedback because someone had sent a DM to me about Justin's episode, so I just screenshot it and sent it to him, and I said fan mail. And he said, honestly, y'all's listeners are awesome. I love the feedback and the love in general, and anyone crazy enough to listen to it 4 hours is epic. And I'm like, how do I word the fact that like most of us are insane here?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Like,
no, I was very pleasantly surprised to see that people were really into that episode and listen all the way through, because I feel like we've done podcasts in the past that veer off the topic of backpacking, and like although you and I are really into it, not always listener favorites. I feel like Justin's episode was certainly an exception there.
yeah, but also we've got a good crop of kids here who are probably still listening because they stay tuned for the 4+ hours, and to them we say thank you.
Yeah, no, anyone who's ever listened and complimented our sponsors they mean the world to us.
Yeah.
But if you guys want to have your review read on this podcast, head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us any number of stars.
Just not 1, 2, 3, or 4.
And if you want a Backpacker Radio sticker, screenshot your review, send it to us at podcast@thetrek.co, and we will get you that sticker.
Are we doing anything with the Oscar Myers?
I honestly forgot what the offer was there, but yeah, I should send some stickers.
I don't remember either, but I think it at least said stickers. There's been a number of them.
That's our go-to incentive. So yeah, I'm going to task. We'll give some clarity now, although we will have fulfilled it at this point, but we'll just pick 5 people because we got a lot of those comments.
Are you still signing the stickers?
I don't think I ever did.
We talked about it.
We did talk about it.
You just think your signature's too good?
No, I think it would ruin the sticker. It's beautiful artwork by Chris Helm. Why would I sully it with my scribble?
We talked about putting it on the back. It's fine.
On the
it's
back
fine.
is also a waste of anything.
You're too busy. I get it.
That's right. Thank you to today's title sponsor, LMNT. Use our URL, drinkelement, lmnt.com/trek for a free sample pack with your order. Honestly, we have beaten this horse to death by now, which is a perfect segue after our Triple Crown. But their stuff is the best. I drink one every day. I've had 2 today. I was in the sauna earlier today. I might have a 3rd one after the margarita plus beer.
I'm supplying an entire bachelorette with them this weekend. And I didn't tell them I was doing it because I didn't want to be on the hook, because I was like, what if last minute I want all these for myself? Selfishly. But yeah.
There's no way you drink through your supply. You must have a lifetime supply, because the stuff that we
you do.
The stuff that we give to guests is all from my stock.
Not true. You've texted me at least twice saying, "Do you have any extras?"
You brought some to the.
You don't remind me.
The hiker meetup in December. That was 4 months ago.
Yeah, that's the last time you asked.
I'm just saying.
Ask more.
There's no way you've drank through your supply.
You don't know that.
I
B,
do know that.
If you were to open any urn in my house, you would find it stuffed full of LMNT. So how dare you accuse? But that being said, yeah, I'm putting a fuck ton of LMNT in my suitcases for this weekend because we're going to Miami. That's why I'm very tan. If you're watching on the YouTube, hi internet, I'm tan. But yeah, no, I'm bringing as many LMNTs as I can fit into any nook and cranny on this weekend, because I will be damned if I get hungover unnecessarily.
Yeah. And also very good in a backpacking context.
And you look cool amongst your friends. They're like, who brought these packets that are usually like, you know?
It is a good way to gain favor with friends, enemies, and strangers alike. But yeah, thank you to LMNT for sponsoring the podcast. Genuinely, the day that you stop sponsoring us will be a big bummer, mostly because I drink your stuff every single day.
Yeah.
Have you hopped on the LMNT train?
Oh, hell yeah.
Good.
We should do
What's your favorite flavor?
Ooh, honestly, I like the chocolate flavors.
You like the chocolate flavors?
Yeah.
Whoa. I know, controversial, right? Yeah.
Boy, do I have some things for you.
Oh, for real? Are they chocolate flavored LMNT?
They might be.
Perfect.
Terrible during a sponsory, but they're not my favorite. So all of the chocolate stuff that they sent me, I've just been dropping into orders when people order stuff on the website.
Do you put them in your coffee?
Yeah, I like them hot with coffee.
See,
and almond milk.
As someone who doesn't typically drink coffee and who has been betrayed by almonds, it's just not the best fit. But I always think if it were in coffee, it'd be different.
It is. It's good. Can you explain what you mean by betrayed by almonds?
They make my tummy hurt.
Oh.
They make me gassy.
The general consensus is that people like the chocolate ones.
Yeah.
That's not my...
What's your excuse? You drink coffee.
Yeah. I just don't like it. If I'm speaking honestly, I said earlier we can say whatever we want about sponsors. Yeah. The chocolate ones are not for me. But the grapefruit and citrus definitely are for me.
Oh, the orange salt is very good.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their favorite. That's my least favorite of their 4. but I've heard a lot of people say that the orange is good.
For now.
I think we are zig and
now.
zag when it comes
For
to taste
now.
Okay,
preferences.
have you considered getting better taste? What's going on here?
No, because he hated watermelons before, but now he likes watermelons.
The closest that Jess has been to getting fired is saying that she thought the finale of the recent White Lotus was bad.
Oh, yes. What? Seriously?
I don't even watch
If
it.
I felt more strongly about it being good, you would have been fired. I thought it was pretty good. So
Okay.
the dichotomy wasn't strong enough for me to make it a fireable offense, but there were questions, certainly.
Okay, so I will say I did go home and tell Andy that I shat all over the last season episode in front of you, and that you probably felt okay about it. I was like, I think I may have come on a bit too strong, but I really did not like that last episode. Were you watching?
Oh, I don't watch it. There was a lot of conflict in the first couple of episodes, and it moved pretty slowly, and I said,
Have
and
you
I
seen the
never
previous
watched it
two
again.
seasons?
No.
Oh.
I just watched the first couple of episodes and thought,
Of
I'm
this
bored.
season or the first season?
of all of it. There was like two girls by a pool asking her about someone, and then like it just kept being boring.
Yeah.
And
It's
I
not
got
the world's most interesting
bored.
show. I agree with you.
Why do people love it so much then?
I like to be a part of the zeitgeist, you know?
It's like to lead with it's not the most interesting show.
Yeah. There's other stuff to watch. I'm not saying there's not.
But people act like there's not.
That's
They're like
true.
gung ho. And
That's
I'm like,
true.
for what?
Yeah. I agree with that. I think people like it too much. It's a bit overrated.
Yeah.
I'm going to advocate for it. I like that it follows the typical comedy drama arc with things that you've never seen on television before. For instance, this season, a brother jerking off his brother. Like, that's prototypical Mike White. Like, just outside the box thinking, something that you're not going to expect. Because I feel like every other drama, it is the reason that you didn't like the last one. It is kind of predictable, and I feel like the same tropes just regurgitated. There's stuff in each season of the show that I feel like are new, and at least stuff that I haven't seen before, which is why I like it.
You saying you like it because things you haven't seen before, like a brother jerking off a brother, happens, and you like it.
If I wanted to see something that I've seen on other shows, then I just wouldn't tune into that. I feel like this has been done before.
Okay, so just to summarize, you dislike the chocolate element, but you like when brothers jerk each other off.
Yeah. Something you've never seen
An actual
before.
taste bud taste is different. Like, there's a lot of new tastes that I haven't experienced that I don't think I would like. But in terms of like consuming a dramatic comedy television show, I want it to be off the beaten path. Yeah, like
It's a good show.
Yeah.
It's a good show.
Yeah.
It's award winning for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Freak.
I'm trying to think what it is in the first season, the concierge fella who they walk in on him. Anyways, I don't need to go down.
Season 1 is great.
Yeah. That's exactly what I like about the show. It's like something that you would not see on any other television show.
This is to announce the Trek's new podcast,
Yeah.
White Lotus. How Lotus is it?
Yeah, we're gonna do a White Lotus spin-off podcast. I'm sure.
Right after our BJB podcast, which is brothers jerking off brothers.
You're definitely gonna have to spell that one out. Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen the third season, but yeah, you haven't seen that in any other series in the history of television.
Zach's pitching his own tent right now.
Super big thank you to our Trek North Award winners on Patreon. That is Alex Smithy with Navigators Crafting, Alex Kindle, Andrew Austin McDaniel, Brad Blair from 13 Adventures, Brent Semberg, Carl Hood, Christopher Marshburn, Coach from Marine Outdoors, Derek Cook, Eric Casper,
The friendly ghost.
Eric Hoffman, Ethan Harwell Dunn, Jillian Daniels, Greg Alsop.
Fables.
I like that we worked him into the Gregs. Greg Knight, Greg Martin, Greg McDaniel, Griffin Hay, would you bring me a beer? Haley Buckingham,
Palace.
Patrick Ciancialo, Rebecca Brave, Sawyer Products, Spam, Timothy Hahn,
Solo.
and Tracy Trigger.
I will say though, sometimes Rachel does things like moves Brian Alsop to the Greg section.
Alsop.
But then also does different things like removes parentheses, may he bring honor to his name from after McDaniel, where I think, is this targeted? She had to go out of her way to remove that part. Like, she had to put conscious thought into, I'm going to remove this reminder.
I'm going to go with the more charitable interpretation, which is she probably just downloaded the most recent list from Patreon, and since the parentheses is not included.
I'm taking it personally.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
she
she's
should.
still being vindictive about her 3 year.
Yes, you should. Thanks to our guy, Paulie. Go snag some delicious beams at
Eat his
Old
beans.
Mam's Murph Coffee Roasters at ommcr.com. Follow us on social. Jess, what's your social?
Jess Hikes Trails.
Easy enough. At Backpacker Radio on Instagram and TikTok, at Backpacker Pod on X, Facebook.com/Backpacker Radio. You can follow Chaunce.
You can find me in my sluttiest recap of Miami at Juliana_Chauncey on Instagram. And I will eventually post the second Teton Crest Trail video on YouTube at Juliana Chauncey once I can figure out where Elise's videos fit into mine, because she's got a lot of good ones of me hiking, but time has passed, so now I don't know where they're supposed to go. So I got overwhelmed and I closed the computer and I haven't revisited it. But that's where it is. And my book, Hiking from Home, a long distance hiking guide for family and friends, is on Amazon.
Appalachian Trials and Pacific Crest Trials are my books. Subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on YouTube.
Hi, Internet.
What's up, YouTube? And that is it for today's show. Thank you so much for listening, and happy hiking.
Bye.